The guy I went to jail for, he's got 2 bullets in his head. I might have gone to jail, but I come out of jail
without 2 bullets in your head.
Without 2 bullets in your head. Competition time. Look what you've done. The jaws looked hanging down like it was caught on a sock. So when I got my 9, I was like, yes! Right. I was shadowboxing in the dock. One guy at the woods once, before we got him there, my mate's put a nail gun in his head. It's going to charge. I thought, I remember thinking, and yeah, that's right, it's going sideways, mate. I'm nutting him again and again. I mean, I'm nutting him and nutting him. But all of a sudden I looked up and boom! You know, big strong guys hit me in the face, you know. He should have brought a tool, but he didn't. Boom, boom, boom. I'm thinking, Dan, you're gonna die. We've landed on a hostile wing, we're all getting stirred up. I know I knocked that out cold. Someone knocked him out cold. But I remember people throwing metal objects, bang, you know. And there's people out everywhere. That man can fight. See, I'm just in the middle of giving someone a hiding, phone to the ground. I literally dropped down on one knee. I was like, he found him. That hit me pretty hard. You know, you ask yourself, could I have been there for him?
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Betovo. Before we get stuck into this week's episode, we're going to give a big shout out to our sponsors.
This season's podcast is brought to you by Superstar Speakers Events. They are the UK's #1 destination for exclusive live experiences. These guys don't just put on events, they deliver unforgettable nights with some of the biggest names in sports, entertainment and beyond. From jaw-dropping Q&A sessions to meet and greets and unmissable stage interviews, they bring you face-to-face with the icons you love. Whether it's football legends spilling the secrets of the beautiful game or entertainment stars sharing untold stories, Superstar Speakers knows how to create memories that last a lifetime. And here's the big news. I'll be teaming up with them for an evening with Terry Stone, a live tour you won't want to miss. Head over to superstarspeakers.co.uk for dates, details and tickets. Massive thanks to Superstar Speakers for supporting our podcast. Please go check out their up-and-coming events now and book yourself a night to remember. Click on the link below and get involved. Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast. My name's Terry Stone, aka the Podfather. Today we're joined by one of the most scariest men in the south of England. He did a 43-year prison sentence for kidnapping. He's had arson attacks, gangland murders. The guy is a walking legend. Please put your hands together for the South Coast finest, Mr. Danny Harkins is in the house. Hey!
Pleasure, Mike, pleasure.
How are you, Danny?
That was between all of us, the 43. I only got 9.
Do you know what, though? I just love that. It's a great headline, right?
I know, right?
What did you do? I got 43 years.
9 was bad enough.
No, I was going to say, did you have some Botox? You don't look that old.
The burpees, mate.
Oh, burpees.
Burpees for breakfast.
Brilliant. So, obviously, for anybody that's watching this that knows you, you won't need any introduction, but for anybody who's listening or watching this podcast, obviously I'd love to delve into a little bit of, where you was born, Danny, and where you grew up.
Hammersmith Hospital, brought up in Fulham with my old man and my mum, and then moved to Southampton when I was about 11.
Right.
And then everyone moved back and I stayed over there.
Right, okay. And what was it like growing up in Southampton?
I love Southampton. I absolutely love it. I say Southampton. I live in Eastleigh, which is right bang between Winchester and Southampton. But 7 miles. So Southampton's the nearest proper city where we go shopping and that.
Right.
But I love it all. I love it all around here. You got Southampton, you got Bournemouth just down the road. I love Bournemouth. You got Portsmouth. I love Portsmouth. Not that Southampton and Portsmouth like each other because they don't. Right. But I don't get involved in all that. That's football stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Portsmouth, love Southampton, love Bournemouth. The whole area, she's lovely.
Right. And when you grew up, I mean, did you sort of get into fights when you was a kid? Or
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like? Because when you grew up in the city, obviously, it's a lot more, sort of explosive than if you grew up in a little farm
Yeah, of course.
town,
Grew up in London.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of every single school I ever went to, every single one. And I think I put that down to just wasn't very good at school. Was they diagnosed you with a load of names, don't they? ADHD, dyslexic, hyperactive, all that shit. But
are you all three, or are you
all three? Yeah,
right, so they just went, "Oh, what? You're all three."
Yeah, I was just a naughty kid, but I think while I struggled in school, you just rebel, don't you? Or you mess around, you think, I'll be the class joker.
Right.
And, but then again, when I went to jail, I'm obviously not stupid because I went to jail, no help at all. I've done 30 courses, year of Open University, which I used as a ticket into Westminster University. And, get no help in jail at all. So I'm not stupid. I think as a kid, I was so hyperactive, I couldn't concentrate on studying.
So was it just literally street fights you'd have, or did you actually go to the boxing club? Or
I just fight at schools, fighting, always getting kicked out of schools, hitting people around with cricket bats and all sorts of shit. But later on, by the time I was about 14, started boxing. By the time I was 18, I think I had about 14 convictions for violence. I think where my old man was a face, he was obviously the Chelsea leader as a kid. There was a lot to live up to. So I think, I felt I had to live up to that.
And with your dad, obviously there was the Chelsea Headhunters, but before that, what was they
called?
Weren't,
they weren't called the Headhunters when my old man was up, because that was in the 90s. I think they were just Chelsea.
Right.
The Shed.
The Shed hooligans.
Yeah, Chelsea. Yeah, and not that that's my thing. The old football violence and all that. But I can see what it was all about. A bit of camaraderie.
Right.
Like your mods, your rockers, your football thugs, and whatever. Everyone needs some sort of validation. Joins a group, and it was his thing. And
what was your dad's name?
Danny Harkins.
Oh right, so
he's
the
Danny
two
Harkins,
Dannies, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Danny Harkins Senior and Danny Harkins Junior.
Yeah, when you walked around Fulham, everyone would shout out to him, give him a lot of respect, and I think people told me. So I think there was a lot to live up to, and he was very much I mean, once he walked me down the estate, he wants to fight my boy. He thinks he's fucking hard. You know what I mean? So,
right. So your dad was like all up for you being violent.
Well, no, I didn't have to fight. It was just put the shits up me because I've been naughty or something. But very much, I remember once I got beat up at school. My mum phoned him up. We moved down to Southampton. He goes, "Can you beat the boy?" I said, "Nah, Dad, he's a boxer." And he's all right. So I think his advice was to befriend him, go into the classroom. When he's tucked behind his desk, smash him off his chair, put the desk over on top of him. He says, his boxing skills won't be worth nothing. You know what I mean? Just stamp on him. Cheers, Dad. That sounds like good advice.
Do you know something? I needed that fatherly advice because genuinely, like growing up, I mean, I was on a council estate, and I think when you're on a council estate and you're in that environment, kids do get bullied and kids do get terrorised.
They do, yeah.
We lived in a council house. We didn't have any money, and I think you become the butt of everyone's jokes, and you get sort of targeted. My dad wasn't that guy. I actually decided to go to the boxing club myself. But I wish
it gives you so much confidence.
And people watch this and go, "Oh, that's what a stupid thing to say." Your dad's encouraging you to be violent, but unless you're actually in that environment and you're actually living and breathing it, and you're getting beaten up or smacked in the mouth every day, you don't. There is no. You can't sit with these people.
We grew up in different times, don't we? To kids now, so
but you can't reason with a bully. You can't go, "Look, mate, you don't need to punch me in the face anymore," because they're going to keep doing it. So the only way you can beat them is head on, and that was why I went to the boxing club. And then obviously,
which boxing club?
I went to Camberley to start with. Then I went to Palmerwood Star, so I was at Palmerwood Star for a while.
Palmerwood Star?
Yeah, under
That's
Les
a
Stevens.
rough club, isn't it?
Yeah. But when I walked in there, Les turned around and he goes...
That's a very, very good club.
He said, "Are you all right?" And I went, "Yeah." And he goes, "I think you're in the wrong place, mate."
That's a travel club, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, it is now. It's not as much, but back then it was just all travellers.
Someone said they've had something like 200 national champions.
I mean,
incredible club.
I mean, they had Georgie Collins, Tony Collins. They had a lot of pros went out there. Yeah. They've won like loads of titles. So it's a well-respected club. I mean,
that's incredibly well-respected.
They sparred with the Repton boys. So I enjoyed doing that. But then it gave me the confidence because I think if you're not in that fighting environment and then you're thrown into it, you either sink or swim.
That's not your average boxing club either.
Right.
So that's a very, very rough sink or swim club.
Yeah.
Where you got all these champion boxers there. That would have been you're either going to make it there or you're not. Right. So well done.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. But no, do you know what? Honestly, it gave me confidence, and they've
got a sign up apparently. Palmerwood Star says, I'll get it right. Iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron. So like even the coaches there are hard as nails, And that's true. I believe that. If you've got soft coaches, they've got no place in the boxing gym whatsoever. None. Shouldn't be there. If you're soft, you know, you're going to produce soft boxers.
Right.
You know, if your coach hasn't done anything, you know, if he's a bit mild mannered, that's going to rub off on you. You want to send your kids to a good boxing club. You've got to make sure coaches know their onions and they're tough men, because it's a tough sport.
When I boxed as a junior, and what was funny, I remember going to, I think it was Rose Hill, which is like rough. Like, we was on this like council estate in sort of, I think it's sort of South London, and it all went off. And it was actually quite funny because obviously we're all kids, but the coaches were just like ping, 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 and we just sort of navigated our way out there. But I, you know, I had so many fond memories of that, and obviously Les, I don't know if you know, but he's no longer with us. But his son, Les Junior, he's took the baton on, and you know, they're still cracking on. They've still got.
This is at Pinewood.
Yeah. They've still got a great club. He's still busy.
My mate's I think he's the chief matchmaker there, Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, I know Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
How small's the world?
Small world, yeah.
and
he's out of more manner.
And obviously you're going through your childhood. Like, obviously your dad sort of encouraged you to bully the bullies.
Yeah, not to be violent, but to certainly not to be violent. He wanted me doing well at school, but certainly not to be not to take any shit.
Well, that's that. I think that's the thing in it. It's like
he weren't happy because he said I went too far with it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? And he don't like any kind of criminality. So although he was a Chelsea thug organising hundreds and hundreds of people to fight hundreds of people, he don't see that as criminality, which is deluded. But you know, I get where he's coming from.
And then from your school years, did you sort of see it out or did you just leave early when you was?
I got kicked out of every school I ever went to. So yeah, and then you move into different schools. You're a new person. So yeah, I think it's every time it made it harder.
So when did you actually stop going to school? Was it sort of early, or was
I got kicked out just for the GCSEs, but then they let me come in escorted to do the GCSEs,
right, okay.
And I just put my head down, went to sleep. not very good. But I mean, the funny thing is,
right,
I probably left thinking I was half stupid. But then before I went to jail, I had 5 limited companies, you know, turning over a few million quid. I had the boxing show, the boxing shows. So I was boxing promoter. I had a car site of 83 cars. I had a big gelato place up in Leicester with a few partners. I pumped about 670 into that. We, so I had a cafe, sweet shop, and one of the best gyms around. I had a brilliant bodybuilding gym. So I had all these businesses. Obviously, just wasn't academic. And then I say that when I went to jail, no distractions. Thought, well, I'm going to make this time count. And I got so into reading. You know, I read all the Dickens books, all the Jane Austen books, loads and loads of history, sociology, politics, the most boring books you can imagine.
Right,
but I was searching out knowledge, you know, and then I, you know, I want to do a bit of maths, do a bit of English. Before you know it, I'd done 30 courses.
Right.
Computers, I had 5 companies, and they all had their own office with a computer and a manager before I come to jail. But I didn't know how to use any of them computers.
Right.
And talk about a low glass ceiling. If you don't know how to use a computer nowadays, you're in trouble. So I went to jail, learnt computers, how to use Excel, Word, all the rest of it. And then before you know it, I'm doing a degree. I'm doing Open University.
Wow.
You get no help in there. And the people that are doing Open University, they're not like me and yourself. They're probably middle class kids in jail who have already done A-levels, university, doing another degree.
Right.
So when you haven't got that background in jail, you get no help in there. To do all that by yourself isn't easy. And I think by the time I got Westminster University, they said, well, have you not done A-level? Your English is brilliant. That's all out reading books. Yeah. But I used to, the girlfriend I was seeing at the time, very kindly, she used to send me loads of textbooks, dictionary, thesaurus, any books I wanted to read. And if I didn't know a word, I'd write down the word, you know. Yeah. And literally you're talking thousands of words. So my first class started reading the classics, and there'd be like 20 words on a page that I didn't understand. So the whole page wouldn't make sense. So I start underlining with a pink highlighter, reading the word, writing it down. And then by the time you've done that, you know, as you go through, authors tend to use the same words. Right. So by the time you're 20 pages in, you know all them words and the whole book makes sense. Yeah. If you're doing that every book, I've literally at home, I've got big A4 black and reds, and they're just filled up words with the meanings. Right. And if I got to a word and I knew I'd already wrote that word down before, but I hadn't fully digested the meaning, I'd write it down again.
Do you know what's interesting, Dan? I think it's a really good thing you brought this up, because lots of people who, everybody learns differently. Yeah. And just because you're academic doesn't mean it's going to translate into business or success. But I think what you've done is obviously where you've not been in the right environment, and you know, jail obviously was the right environment for you.
Well, I was the right
focus.
age as well. I was
Right.
30, 37, so you calm down a bit.
Right.
This is crucial.
Right.
Had I come in at 20 or whatever, 23, 24, and with all the other kids there, you know, I'd have been a lunatic, you know. But I come in at an age where I've got all these businesses and I'm thinking I'm losing fucking millions here. And I'm thinking, all I'm thinking about is the pound coins I'm losing. And the kids, of course, and the missus and everything else. But I'm really thinking I'm losing money. I'm hemorrhaging money. And every couple of months, a business was fold.
Right.
The girlfriend I was seeing at the time was doing her best to keep him up and afloat. I'm very grateful for that. But, you know, it weren't going to be possible to suddenly start running all these businesses. And so I'm thinking this is a waste of life. You know, I've got a good life out there. I've got my beautiful kids. I've got a nice house, nice cars, businesses. This is shit, you know. And I thought, right, I can't make this dead time. You know, I'm not going to do that. And watching all the kids running around acting crazy, and I'm just thinking, I've got to make this time count. Yeah. So, you know, I started educating myself and I become obsessed with it. And had I gone in when I was younger, I would have had a different mindset. I'd have been stupid, you know, and getting involved in things. I also knew very quickly, you know, I'm a big guy. I'm about 16 stone. I'm an ex-champion boxer. If I start putting my fist about, I'm going to hurt people, I'm going to do damage, I'm probably going to never get out of jail. I'm not in there to do a Charles Bronson.
Right, okay.
No offence, Charles, but you're a moron. You know, you've done your whole life in jail. And I feel sorry for you.
Right.
And
but you didn't want to.
I read his book actually.
Right.
It's the most boring book I've ever read. I mean, you know, all he's done is porridge, and he should have got himself out of there. But I mean, there are times in there where, and he's obviously a big hard man, right? So if he hits someone, they're going to know about it, and he's going to get in trouble, right? If you're hitting someone, you're not doing any damage. It's not the end of the world. But when you're caving their heads in,
Right.
like he would do, then it's a problem, right? You know, someone's got to be accountable for that. And I thought, well, I'm seeing all the people pissing me off everywhere, and I am losing my rag on them when I'm going f***ing mental sometimes, you know. Right. And I thought, you got to calm down. And actually, someone said to me, Dan, you got to calm down. You know.
Were you called Dan the Raging Bull Harkins?
Nah. My nickname's Sparko, actually.
Sparko, I like that.
It's to spark a lot of people out. But I remember I was going mad on the wing. I'd get a bit of bad news about the business. I was going f***ing mental on the wing. Right. I remember someone come out of the cell and goes, Dan, you all right? I goes, get back in your f***ing cell. Mike goes, Dan, calm down, what are you doing? Because you're never going to get out of it. Right. And you have to learn to control those emotions. I'm losing a lot of money.
But I think this is so.
I did. I learned to control those emotions.
But it's educational for people listening and watching this podcast, because if people are from a underprivileged or their life's in disarray, like you've demonstrated, even with ADHD and all these like ailments that you had, and obviously not being able to pay attention at school, and then like obviously falling into violence and crime, but then actually going, you know what, I'm going to do this, and you've come up with like a method of and done it. And
I had a method in jail,
but it gives people
which kept my head together.
But it gives people the you know, the inspiration that if they actually want to, you know, turn their lives around, it's not an excuse. Oh, I come from a council start, I've had a bad upbringing. You can actually do something about it, which you've done, which is good.
I'm definitely not a Tony Blair fan, one little bit. But he talked about meritocracy. We live in a meritocracy, not you know, where basically you rise on your merit. If you want it, anyone can do it. You know, anybody. And it's all about like yourself. Look how successful you are. You know, watch loads of your films, great films.
Thanks.
You know, what's it, One Nation, Garage Nation, Rave Nation. You don't stop. You're pushing. You're always trying to, you know, aspire to more.
What is it? God loves a try, right?
but you come from a state, you know. Right. I come from a rough background, and you know, I think there's a lot of depression out there at the moment, and it's a serious thing, and we live in a very hard time. It's very financially difficult out there for a lot of people. Also, when I was in jail, though, I never ever got depressed. I was actually a bit depressed before I went to jail. I was having an affair, marriage, had given it up. I was with another girl. It's all a bit much. Never mind the 5 businesses I was running, all the naughty stuff I was doing, and all that. It was all getting a bit much. Come to jail, no stress. Right. You know, you can chill out a bit. You've been caught. Right. You know, and the game's over. So you actually start unwinding. Right. And but you see people in there. When I was in Winch, I can't remember. I think the stats on C-Wing was something like 70% self-harm. Wow. And that is a Charles Bronson cases where these people can't handle their own emotions, and I feel for them, you know. And you know, you got things like, you know, I love my children dearly. I was a very attentive father. You know, I don't mind. I was with my kids all the time. But you've got to handle that shit. You've got to compartmentalise that. You've got to say, all right, I don't know when I want to see him again. At the time, my ex-wife wasn't letting me see him. I can't blame her. I was a right arsehole to her. But she did in the end. We get on well now. But I think, look, it is what it is.
Right.
Deal with it. So I never dropped a tear in jail, I swear, you know. But you know, you got 70% of people in there were self-harming. And you talk, there were some guys' legs, you know, you wouldn't believe it. They're walking with blood pissing out everywhere, running down the thing. And like,
did the prison wardeners, did they not sort of notice it or
having a laugh, ain't you? In Winchester, I think it's like maybe the second worst jail in the country. And that's not as it's a violent jail. It's more like they'll bang you up for all but 45 minutes of the day. And if they want to take that away from you, they will. They say, we haven't got enough staff today, so you're staying the whole day in your cell. And you see people come in like big lumps, looking all right. They're all well together. 3 months later, they're fucking doolally. They're skinny because they're getting underfed. They're getting 2 shit meals a day. And they're locked in a little cell all day. I remember Dickens wrote about it. They showed him around the jails, right, and he said, this is not good for people's mental health. And so I'm lucky in that I've got a lot of positive people around me. I grew up with a very strong-minded dad,
right,
and I developed skills to help me manage that, so I didn't get depressed in there. But I could see why people would. For me, I latched onto the idea of trying to grow every day, trying to be a better version of myself every day, trying to be a smarter version of myself every day, trying to be a fitter version of myself every day. And I think that's where it's at. You know, one thing you might question in jail, because you've got a lot of time and you're thinking about things, is what is the meaning of life? You know, start looking at 4 walls, you're right up, and you think, what is the meaning of life? And like, you come up with a few answers, you know. But I think for human beings, I think we're a bit special. You know, we're not animals, and I think trying to be the best version of yourself every day is where it's at. And if you do that, you ain't never going to get depressed. And if you are depressed, that's your way out. Wow. You know, you need a mission, you know, and that's a good mission, you know, and think, you know, set yourself goals, you know, whatever them goals might be. And
obviously, if we go back to when you was, you know, you left school now, you haven't got your qualifications. Did you just literally fall into crime? Was that just where you ended up? Or was it a gradual process?
Well, so when I look at the early side of it, I think I was some local lunatic. I won't say his name. Okay, Jeff Gangland, he's dead. He was Army Golden when I was a kid. Can't remember what it was. Took me on his wing a bit, but he had me like, you know, doing a bit of minding for him. He had me intimidating people for him. Before you know it, he'd rather than pay me cash, he'd pay me in drugs. So I'd have a load of wraps of speed in an envelope, and I'd knock them out in the clubs. And I'd stand there in front of the doorman and the manager of big clubs, and I didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I thought, you lot want a row.
Right.
I was off key. And I'd know everyone in there, so if there was going to be a row, everyone would back me. And they just used to say, if Danny kicks off, we just lock the fucking doors. It's taking TVs off the walls. You know what I mean?
So you become...
I'd go in there with meat cleavers when I was a kid.
Right, so people in Southampton knew... Actually,
well, that was Eastleigh when I was a kid.
Eastleigh, but don't around this guy because he's dangerous.
Right. Yeah, and then later Southampton, yeah. So obviously I got right involved in all the naughty stuff, very entrepreneurial, and
when you say the naughty stuff, you referring to like?
Well, we'll leave it there.
Right, okay, okay. But you got involved in
Bits
the
and bobs.
naughty stuff. We'll call it the naughty stuff, and but out of all the naughty stuff you did, what can you talk about? You must have some funny stories. You can always say allegedly as well.
Yeah, allegedly, you know, if you ask me how many people I kidnapped in the later stage of my life to the nearest 10, I wouldn't have a Scooby-Doo. Wow. To the nearest 10, I wouldn't know. I have a clue. But then when you're whacking someone else, they're getting a car, you're not really thinking about it, but here's a kidnap.
So would you say it's north of 100 or north of 1,000?
Nah, probably about 100 or something. But it's part and parcel. If you're lending people money at the goodness of your heart, you know, and don't pay it back, you're going to be one of two things. You're either going to be a bully when you go get your money back, and people will call you a bully, but the same people will call you a mug when you don't get your money back. Right. So you ain't going to win in that game. Right. You're either going to be a bully or a mug, so you've got to make the choice. And they're not good options, but it's one or the other.
So when you're lending money out,
and whatever you're doing, effectively you're lending money out.
Right. Okay. So, but what I'm saying is, on that side, like if somebody doesn't pay you, then you know.
Well, I would always give them every opportunity.
Right, okay.
to pay me. Like I wouldn't.
You phoned him up and said, "Hi, this is Danny.
Well,
I'm just calling about the money I lent
wouldn't
you."
have phoned him up. Someone would have phoned him up on my behalf generally.
Right, okay.
Well, it got to that point where someone.
Did you have like a call centre building up?
That's a funny story.
What's your overdue payment?
Well, allegedly, I did hear a story that my guy was overseas making the calls.
Right.
So if you put a call in and you wanted tank, he went in this country.
Right, okay.
He was overseas and it was a 6-hour time difference. So if he got up at 6 a.m, it'd be 12 o'clock midday over here. And between 12 midday over here and 4:30.
Right.
That'd be how it worked, yeah.
Right, so people could...
But it developed into that.
Right. So it was essentially like an Amazon style service.
Not exactly. I'll just say it was well organised.
Oh, right, okay.
It was well organised, better than anyone else I know. And, I think they call that a cartwheel conspiracy. It's a police term. Like you got your centre hub.
I've never even heard this before.
No, well, I read it in a book actually.
Right.
I think it was in Cocky Warren's book. Basically, I thought, oh, okay, that's familiar. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? So they call it a cartwheel conspiracy. It's a police terminology. So they have the centre hub, which will be the person or the people, the main people, and they'll have spindles off that hub which protect themselves from bollocks, I suppose. Yeah.
Right,
So
so
they might have like someone picking up money.
Right.
That would be a spindle. They might have 3 debt collectors, as an example, 3 spindles. They might have someone who looks after the money. You might pay a monthly, yearly, weekly rate to look after your money.
Right.
You might have someone dropping off your parcels. You might have 2 people, because if you're working 6 days a week, you might have a chemist.
Right.
If you was in that trade. You might have a fixer who goes, fixes problems, goes, talks to people if they're not happy and smooths things over. So depends how big you want to make it, but that's the concept of a cartwheel conspiracy.
Right, okay. So when you're talking about cartwheel conspiracy, basically it's an organised crime network where you would have like the people that at the top, and was that sort of really based on the way the mafia used to do things, because they used to have the boss, didn't they? And then
absolutely. I mean, they had a meticulous system, obviously, which actually was based on the Roman system.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to compare it to that. It's just a natural way to go. You might, as an example, have 2 geezers who partner up. One's very well networked in terms of knows a lot of people you can sell shit to, and is right hard bastard. He'll go get the money back. The other might be the guy who's good with money, might have the contact to get the gear. He might be able to hold on to it, but the other guy might not be. He'll pass it out, he'll make the calls, and before you know it, they get together and he says, I ain't doing these drivers anymore, we're going to get a driver. Okay, that's an expense. Okay, all right. Everyone's talking about you as an operation. Right, well, better distance yourself, we'll get someone to pick up the money. I'm fed up of punching people on their doorstep to go get the money. I'll pay someone to do that. Or I'll pay someone to go with you, because who knows what I might walk into. So you got someone with you. But why am I going when I've got this goon? Boom, he can go by himself. We'll get him another goon. Before you know it, you've got 3 goons knocking the door. And you might send them as a free because there's less likely to be trouble and they're more likely to give back whatever money they're like. You might knock the door, 3 big easers and say, oi, how you doing, son? You're late. All right, and don't worry about it. Pick up your phone. See you later. Boom. That should be all it needs. Right. You might go, where's the money? Or another guy might put a phone to his head and say, someone like myself might say, Alan, my son, you got till Friday. Or might say, how's the view? They might say, not too good, Dan. Right. And, mate, don't worry about it. You're all good. You got till Friday, yeah. So, but then when you start acting like that, it's not acceptable. Right. I
suppose
and people start talking, and before you know it, you're public enemy number 1 in your little city.
But I suppose also from a business side, if you're behaving like that, you're probably getting paid, right? You're probably not. You don't get knocked off.
Yeah, I would always say, look, who says you can't get money out of a stone? That's one thing I say. And the other thing I say is the house always wins. Right. Depends on the house, doesn't it? But I think the other thing you do, you alienate a lot of people. Right. I had a mate of mine, he had big mixed race fellow, full rack of gold teeth, Mars bar for his face, ear missing, nose. And he said, Danny, you scared the out of people. Ain't like that these days. Gangsters wear chinos, they come with smiles, they're all friendly, they're networkers. you're a throwback and it ain't good.
Right.
And you're a dinosaur, he used to say. And I had to go to jail to learn what he meant. And he was actually quite a sensible fellow. He was a lovely, although he looked like a James Bond's villain, villain's bodyguard, which is what he was. He used to drive me around in my 7 Series. Right. He looked the part. He was actually. He was a lovely fella. Yeah. Very, very like.
Is he still alive?
He is. I heard he had a breakdown.
Right.
I think his car got set on fire as soon as I went to jail.
Right. Okay.
Well, 6 of us went down together, so like all of a sudden he was out by himself.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I heard he had a bit of a breakdown, but I don't know. But anyway, he was actually. Despite the appearance and all that, he was very, very like wise. Always a peacemaker. Yeah. Always trying to calm things down. And I needed some of that because I was off key.
And like you said, when you've got these this network and these people who are doing these different things, is the idea behind it that if one of the spindles got arrested, or if somebody clumping someone got arrested, then that would obviously not really matter because right, okay.
And so the more times you're removed, the better. Because you might have it, for instance, that say you only speak to one person,
right,
and that person speaks to everyone else,
right,
and then you're twice removed.
Right.
So the more removed you are, the more difficult it is.
And what's your view? I mean, because
that's the ideal. You want to create as many separations as possible if you're committing crime. I mean, the landscape's changed a lot since then. I mean, I'm a mate of mine who funny enough, he got about 12 selling drugs, big hard cunt. But he said to me, real brute of a man. Normally I say I fight anyone, but this didn't sound to anyone. But this one guy, unbelievable. But he was such a gentle giant when he wanted to be. Yeah. And he said, Dan, there's enough out there for everyone. And I don't think that's true anymore.
Right.
No, I think it's become so saturated. It's a done game. To any kids trying to sell drugs and all that out there, I'd say, don't bother. It's done. You've got all the Albanians and foreigners moved in. Initially, they f***ed it for us lot. Now they f*** it for themselves because it's so saturated, they're not even making any money. Right. You get the odd few. Listen, there's no money out there. Right? It's so little, You're going to make 1,000 phone calls for one deal, trying to get a bit because everyone's fighting for these tiny slices of the pie.
Right.
So I think the game is done. And, you want to get a trade. You make a lot more money in a trade and you don't have to worry about going to jail. And, there's nothing you can't do. But in that game, you won't win because it's not set up that way. Even back in the day, the best villains all went to jail. Right. The majority of them. Not everyone, but, So but at least they made some bloody money.
Right.
And it's so saturated now.
I mean, someone said to me as well, obviously with with what you described earlier about that sort of network and keeping people at arm's length and having people in between people.
As much, don't forget, the more you do that,
right,
the more you're going to dilute your profits.
Right.
The more people you have. Also, potentially, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So you could potentially have quite a few weak links.
Right.
And generally in that game, I'd say, and I found this of myself, I was a teetotal from 18, so I used to drink a lot. I said 14 convictions by the time I was 18, I was an absolute nutter. But then I went teetotal from 18 till about 33, right? And then all of a sudden, I starts, having affairs, pulling birds left, right and centre and having a bit of a party with them, having a bit of chop, bit of a drink, and all of a sudden you're not quite as together as you used to be. Right. A lot more than everyone else, still hitting the gym. You think you are. Right, I mean, I watched that film using Rise of the Foot Soldier, fantastic film. Thanks. But there's actually parts of that. I mean, I think Carlton Leach is absolutely full of shit, and if he was after things he made out he wouldn't have been skint at the end of the film because you couldn't not make a ton of money in the 90s.
Right.
So it was impossible. People were making loads of money in the 2010s, let alone the 90s. So he must be full of shit. But look at Tucker, the guy you played. From what I heard, he was the main guy. He was doing well. It was very.
Well, interesting enough, we had a guy on here called Lee Chapman. I don't know if you met Lee, but he came on and he was saying that, before Tony obviously got involved in all that nonsense, he had a gym. He was doing, he
looked very charismatic, very smart, wasn't a tux,
security firm.
Yeah,
he was making a.
Well, that's what I say. I know from what I've read that he was a very together guy.
Right.
But in the film, it shows you, they're doing loads of that pie and all the women, that's when you start to lose perspective.
Right.
Because if you're running a criminal enterprise, you need to be on point. You're probably running legitimate enterprises as well. And if you're not on point, you've got the police to worry about, you've got people who want to hurt you and rob you to worry about, you've got people like you money you've got to worry about, you've got so much to worry about. And then you're probably having an affair and you've got your wife catching you to be worried about. All these guys are living on the edge, right? And they need to be on point, right? But they're not on point because if you're sniffing coke, you're going to be tired for days afterwards.
So do you think that Tony Montana, don't get high on your own supply, do you think that was good advice?
Great film. Love that film. It was the upward advice. He didn't follow his own advice and he paid the price for it. But I mean, when you're a young man, you might get away with it a little bit. It's still not going to be the full thing, right? So all your serotonin when you do, it's depleted in one go. It takes 3 days to pick up again, right? So you're going to feel down because your serotonin's off. It's gone. And that regulates happiness. So it's not possible for you to be top of the world. And energy is what makes money. It's how you network, it's how you bring people in, it's how you do well. It's what generates energy. So if you're depleting your energy and the chemicals in your brain that create happiness, you know, what you might end up doing is having to take more of that to give yourself more energy and more, you know, but if you keep doing that, it's going to go one way, you're going to go downhill. And what happens is all these people degenerate. So when I watched Rise of the Foot Soldier the other day, and because it's an iconic film, right, I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
For one thing, it takes you right through...
Well, the first one was, if anyone went on the terraces then, if anybody sold drugs then, if anybody worked on the door, if anyone was violent, if anyone was involved in crime, it was so relatable. And the thing is, when we wrote the script, I brought these writers on board, and you know they got Carlton Leach had obviously written a book, and in the book. I mean, you know, obviously a lot of the stories were obviously not true, but obviously we didn't know that at the time. So there were some great stories in the book, which
feel he exaggerated a lot. Yeah, I mean, because obviously I know people, I know the way things work, and like at the end he's skint, and you can't be skint at the end of the night if you was doing all that. Well, you could be. I say that you could be because if you're doing all that coke, then you could have everything and just lose it all.
Right.
You know, so that's a possibility. But then, like, you know, in the film, he portrays himself as the one who's being sensible, trying to calm everyone out, not doing that.
Right.
So either you weren't making all that money or you were going downhill. Yeah. There's little things that don't end up. He's probably trying to make himself the big man in it instead of Tucker.
Well, I think a lot of the people who write books, you know, and it's a little bit like there's a guy that we've had on here called Bernard Mahoney, and he's never done any other podcasts. He's only done ours, and he's done 2 episodes of us. And he's very like, this is what's happened. This is what, and you know, you get silly people going, oh, you know, he's a liar because he said it was 94 and it was 93, and he said that this guy was there, but he was over there. And you sort of think, but what is that? It's like if you said to me, like when I was doing the raves in the 90s, can you remember what happened on this date? I was doing 20 events a month, you know, which is, you know, what's that a year? That's 100.
You did how many?
20 events a month.
20 events a month? What raves?
Yeah, sometimes like January you only might do a couple, you know. But
that's unbelievable.
But you probably do over a year anywhere between 150 and 200 to 250. I mean, it depends. And bear in mind, if you're in somewhere like Iron Appa, you would only do the season there, but you might do 2 days.
Is that where you were?
We was in Iron Appa, was in my beef. So when we were doing these events, like we were doing loads and loads and loads and loads. And if you said to me, oh, Terry, in November 97, this happened.
Do
you remember?
No,
and I'd be like, I remember the club. I remember that happening. Who was there? And I might say, well, he was there and she was there. And then you might, and then someone else might go, well, they weren't.
Of course.
But how can you remember something 30 years ago? I find it hard to remember what happened fucking last week.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think people get dug out on the facts and the this, that, and the other. But Bernard does speak with conviction. I know people that are deemed as being proper, and they've all said that, you know, he was a proper guy. He wasn't a fool. You know?
Yeah. So I think like with Carl, like making out he went to war was going to go to war with the Turkish mafia. We know who we're talking about.
Right.
We don't think so, do we?
Right.
I mean, I've met some of them people. And, nah.
Yeah. See, that was the part that was fabricated.
Yeah.
But I think genuinely, like, you know, when you're writing a book.
There's some poetic license.
There's bits of it that are real, and there's bits of it that are made up or over embellished. And
I wouldn't lie.
Yeah.
I ain't got to lie in me.
But
I felt bad enough in court saying throwing on the Bible and going, yeah. But when you got your code easy, look, you know, you got to tell the truth. But I'd rather go, no comment.
Because you look at them all and go, I've never seen these guys before. It wasn't me.
You got to roll your codies out as best you can. But I mean, we've got 6 people. We're not going to tell them. They're going to try and tell the same story as best they can, but it's impossible.
But when you know, like obviously when we've jumped around a little bit, but when you go back to what we was talking about, obviously the organisation and different things that were working.
I was talking about the weakest link.
Yeah. What was your weakest link?
I think I was.
Right.
One thing I won't do is I'm bringing the book out, and one thing I don't want to do is glorify any of this bullshit, because it ain't like, you know, I was actually quite a decent guy. I was coaching boxing with the amateurs. I had a lovely wife and kids, and if anything, I degenerated. The more money I got, the more I degenerated. I mean, Charles Dickens wrote something in, I think it was Great Expectations, where you know, no man who's not a gentleman at heart can ever. Well, basically, the more varnish you put on the wood, the more you expose the grain. Right? So again, I said, the more varnish you put on the wood, the more, you know, the grain exposes itself. You can't hide the grain. All you do, the more you put on to try and hide it, the grain comes out more.
Right.
And I think to myself, sometimes I think about is money. Like when we're from, sometimes like when we don't know how to behave with money, or in my terms, a lot of my bad traits came out because I'm getting money I'm not used to, and I'm just, you know, doing things I wouldn't normally do. You know, you're womanising left, right and centre, you're getting on it, you're not adhering, you're not being as good a dad as you can be. You know, it's not a glamorous lifestyle. You know, I mean, I've been put in a situation where one guy who's no longer with us, and I'm glad about that, but he wanted to kill a friend of mine. Right. And he said, we're going to do this, because he'd fucked up, and he had ledger of who owed what and whatnot for a little while. He'd gone missing. And he said, you know, give it 6 months, I want him dead. And had some Northerners he was working with, would do that. Anyway, I said, we ain't killing so-and-so. I'll break his legs. I didn't break his legs, but I did break his face up quite bad, like nose, eye sockets, and all that. And that was necessary for him not to be killed, which is the true story. But you know, that was my pal. So like, it's just a horrible game. Right. You know, you're talking. There ain't nothing glorious about it. And when you're in a prison cell and you got some guy puking in the shitty toilet in there, and there ain't even a door on the toilet. You know, and our way of stopping the smell in there, you know, was sometimes getting, you know, toilet paper, screwing it up, putting it in a hole in the wall and setting fire to it. You know, to get rid of the fumes. The shit stink. You know. Anyway,
there was no.
The point that's not a glorious lifestyle.
There was no Andrex Super Soft in the.
No. Oh, you can get incense sticks, but if you're waiting for them, and that's what you do. But I mean,
it's
womanising, you know, getting off your nut,
right?
You know, falling out with your best mates over money and debts, going downhill because you're doing too much partying and all that.
Right.
You know, I see it as most people degenerate.
Right.
And a lot of times you'll see good people degenerate. And because that's the lifestyle, and when you're around good people, you get better.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're around degenerates, you degenerate. So, and that's a game full of degenerates.
But there's an old saying in there, you know, and everyone always sort of like laughs at this when they talk about your network being your net worth.
Absolutely.
But it's who you surround yourself. If you surround yourself with, you become a.
100%.
If you surround yourself with people that are go-getters, achievers, you're going to be a go-getter.
Couldn't
achiever.
agree more, Terry. I've got a mate of mine called Tom Watson. And he's an ex-UFC fighter. One of my old sparring partners. We did the weights together and boxed together at Golden Ring. And he wrote to me straight away. And he said, I'm really sorry I didn't see more of you before you went to jail. But the kind of people you're with and all that, he said, I had to get away from it.
Right.
And I wrote back, you know, I really appreciate that honesty. And so we went along that dialogue. And he wrote back, you know, you become the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. When I look at kind of people I was around before I went to jail, not all of them, but a lot of them were absolute fucking bums, you know, absolute no hopers. I was getting bad. I had a lot of yes people around me.
Right.
You know, like, encouraging violence, encouraging stupidity, encouraging anything that weren't good. And one thing I promised myself when I got out was, I want to have no yes people around me. I want people who say, Dan, you're acting up. You're not acting correct, or what's going on here? You're going downhill. Anything that needs to be picked up on, a real friend will pick you up. Most people like to have people who tell them what they want to wear, not what they need to wear. And that's a very dangerous thing in life. Because if you want to be successful, you need to have people around you who are going to tell you when you're acting up.
Do you know what? It's like, I've always been really direct with people. And a lot of people have pulled me on it and said, you can't be that direct with people. And I said, look,
No, you can.
I said, you have to tell people the fucking truth, because if you lie to people or you speak to people and you don't really tell them what time it is, and for me, I'm the same. When I was doing the clubs, it was literally just printing money, right? And because
I would have loved the 90s too.
Yeah, it was with the
I'm a little bit younger. If only I've been around the 90s.
Honestly, it was.
I probably would have got myself killed.
But we had such a good time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for me, it was like what you said. So even though we had completely different journeys, I was doing obviously legitimate events. You were obviously doing some crime stuff. But the thing that we had in common, we were uneducated is the word, really, because if you leave school with no qualifications, you're uneducated.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we're uneducated. We're from council estates, but we made a bit of money. And then when you make a bit of money, you get carried away.
You're probably highly intelligent, but not academic.
Exactly.
And you broached that earlier.
But when you start making the dough, you start thinking, wow, and I think one of the biggest regrets of my life and one of the biggest lessons in my life was that whatever you do, and it doesn't matter if you've got a corner shop selling sweets, whether you've got a multi-million-pound business, whether you've got a security company, whatever you're doing, just bear in mind that it might be going well now,
Absolutely.
you can't assume that it's going to last forever. And I always thought, well, look, this is going to run forever. It's all going to be great. And when I come out of the club game and I sold the business, I was thinking, I'm the bollocks. I used to be the king of clubs. I used to do all this stuff. Whatever I turn my hand to, to be a success. And some people will say that's confidence. Some people say it's arrogance. But if you've lived that life for 10 years, a decade, do you think whatever you do is going to have the same result?
Well, I'd say with what you were in, that's clearly transferable skills. I mean, the club game ain't an easy game to conquer. To run 200 events in a month is...
Well, it's every year.
Right.
Yeah.
That's hard work.
It's still up.
That's incredible. All those skills... Basically, your networking, you're dealing with people, you're delegating. Those are all transferable skills, which you've obviously put into the movie industry.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, when I come out of it, it was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then someone offered me a part in a film. I did a little bit of film. Then it was like, maybe I'll do a bit of acting. And then it was like, maybe I'll make a film. And then I was like, somebody said about doing a bar and restaurant. And the thing is, I got involved in all these different things because I didn't know which way I wanted to go. But in a weird sort of way, as you go along the thing, the one thing that I've learned about life, and I'm only 53, right? But what I've learned about life and business and just, working, that, you have massive highs, you have massive lows, but you've got to just keep on going. So even if you do have a failure, even if something doesn't work, even if, things don't go to plan, you can either just go, I'm giving up, and then you find something else to do, and then that doesn't work, and you become the giving it up guy. So for me, I'm always that if it doesn't work, I try again guy. But I try and learn from what I've not done right, or if I've made a mistake, how can I correct that?
Absolutely.
And I think if you speak to anybody whether they're boxers, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're business people, that they all have that ethic, their resilience, where
absolutely.
You're not me on
and
the
when you're around them
people,
people, you're obviously a very good networker. When you're around them people, you feed off each other, you buzz off each other, you educate each other.
Well, I think that's, I've had some great mentors and people that I've been around that I've been able to bounce ideas off. And I think not a lot of people, in the 90s, I didn't have that. And that was the other thing, when you're, but the lesson I learned from all that, and I pass it on to my kids. If they're doing something that's going well, I always say, it might not go well forever.
Yeah.
So always better in mind.
Be ready to jump into the next thing.
Don't think this is like, I'm set and I'm, because as humans, we have an ego and we all think that, if we're a success, it's like if you're a boxer and you're undefeated, you think you're the shit. In your head, you're like, I'm going to be the undisputed. And then one day you lose. And then it's all of a sudden, it's like, how did I lose? And Ricky Hatton was on and he actually said,
he got Ricky Hatton on, didn't he? I need to watch that one.
First time he lost, He said it was devastating. He said everywhere he went, he thought people were laughing at him. He'd be in a pub, it really hit him hard.
Do you know what though? The boxing game, although the boxing game is actually like that. You look at our great champions. The moment they lose in boxing, we're very quick to kind of turn them. Right. Not so bad as it used to be, I think, but it's a very hard, lonely sport, boxing.
Yeah.
I mean, in MMA, you expect losses. There's so many different ways to lose. Right. People lose, not the end of the world. But in boxing, they also, don't forget, they build you up. Like with numpties for the first 20 fights, then you're fighting real people. Right. They build you up if you're worth building up. If I think you're going to be good, if I think you're marketable and you're going to potentially be a world champ, they'll build you up. Then you're fighting real people, and all of a sudden the first round knockout stop, but you're knocking people out still and going distance, and all of a sudden you've got to get somewhere where it's tough at the top. Yeah. And everyone gets knocked out sooner or later, beaten, and it's I think from all that glory, it's a horrible fall, and I think there's a lot of mental health, poor mental health in boxing because of that. If people have done really well, such a huge fall. Whereas in football, if you lose a game of football, you all share that burden. Right. Where if you lose a boxing match, it's a lot of psychological pressure because all that attention's on one person, on you and your opponent. So I think it's a lot more for people to bear.
And when you've boxed, I mean, how many fights did you have?
I only had 14. I mean,
is that as an amateur or as a pro?
As an amateur, yeah, I only had 14. I won 9 out of my last 10. I weren't that bad, but I got better actually when I quit. And I turned down several pro offers. There's a guy up near our way. He offered me a pro contract. He had a lot of deals with Frank Warren. He's like, in with Frank Warren, I'll pay you more than all my other pros.
Is that the fella from Portsmouth?
Southampton, Wayne.
Oh, right, I don't know. Yeah. No, there's somebody else.
Because I thought I'd pack out the Guildhall, but he thought I'd probably win the British title. Mike Tom Watson thought I would. Yeah. I was heavy-handed, very, very, very heavy-handed. I was fast. I was no skillful boxer. I'd stand in front of you, go to war. Right. My boy's going to be good. I think my boy's going to be very good.
Amazing.
Is he
really,
Danny
really as well?
He's Ellis. I didn't
know if you'd have Danny'd him as well.
He was supposed to be Danny, but I wasn't speaking to the missus at the time.
Right, okay.
But for a few months afterwards. But because my dad's Danny, his dad's Danny, he goes right way back. Wow. So I shouldn't have pissed her off at that time.
and when you was, obviously going through this sort of, criminal cycle, and you were doing all these different things, and like you said, you lost count of how many people you kidnapped, obviously because they weren't paying them.
I'll be honest, I never really thought about it. I mean, once I went to jail for it, you think, if you put someone on a motor and don't really want to get in a motor, that's kidnapped, you ain't got to tie them up and put them in the boot.
So you was collecting the debt, but to them it's kidnapping.
I remember when I won't tell the story. If you see someone, you give them a bank and a fucking car, that's kidnapped. Right. And there have been a lot worse situations than that has been.
And obviously, when you've done that and you take them somewhere, is it more about intimidating them than it is actually
Absolutely,
hurting?
Yeah. Well, 9 times out of 10, yeah.
Right.
More than that. You know what I mean? To be honest, like, if other people were doing that on my behalf, then that was the message. If I turned up, I've got a temper in me. And if I turned up, it would go sideways after time.
It's okay, we got it.
I'll show these. I'll show if you want enforcers, debt collectors, the mad side, because you kind of think you've got to keep them knowing who's the boss. And,
have you got a crazy? Is there ever been any kidnap stories that have gone wrong? It might not have to be specific to you. It could be another one that you heard about.
We took one guy to the woods once. Before we got him there, get this right. My body shot. I've winded him. I fucking hit him around the arm with a bat. Broke his arm there. Dragged him in. My mate's put a nail gun in his head. I remember thinking, fuck, don't do it. I thought, is he intimidating or is he going to press the trigger? When you press a Paslow gun in and you press it in the top of someone's head, it's going to charge. I thought, I hope he ain't going to do that. Next thing, he's got his fingers in the loppers, and he's dribbling and he's screaming, his fingers, and we're saying, tell us the truth. Then we got in the car, took him up to the New Forest, 2 carloads, and we got out, surrounded by, last lot. I was in a good mood. And we're giving them digs. I've given him one dig because George has collapsed, just like it was caught in a sock. And then my mate goes, it's not a fucking competition, Dan. Look what you've done. George was hanging down like it was caught in a sock. And he's like, we're going to have to take him to hospital. We're not taking him to hospital, we're going to Bournemouth. Remember your mate Jim?
Right, yeah.
Well, he was my best pal. So it was actually
Jim's
my mate Jim, yeah. So we went down, met up with Jim, God bless his soul. and he was with another load of lunatics. So all of a sudden you got my 2 carloads,
Right.
his 2 carloads, and we've got this geezer. He's got his ribs being pushed through the back. His fucking
Arms hanging off, his jaws hanging off.
his throat fractured there. Went through his shin, jaws hanging down.
And what was,
Anyway, we took him to some restaurant. It's fucking packed there. Look at this, and like, Anyway, we ended up taking him into a Chinese restaurant. He was dead. Gone in there, and I remember my pal. He's gone to him to his little brother. He's gone. His brother's first job was, "Have you learnt anything, little brother?" He goes, "I've learnt I don't like crispy seaweed." Which I thought was quite funny. Anyway, that's a Quentin Tarantino line, isn't it? Bring the book, I have to remember that one. And I remember I was in jail with this fella, and I've gone, I'm thinking about things because that weren't right what we'd done to so-and-so. Right. And that weren't right at all, we didn't need that. And he goes, "We needed that." Because this is the kind of people you're with every day.
Right.
We needed that. Yeah, I thought, fuck it. I was really pissed off, actually.
Well, the thing is, though, like,
but that's the world you're living in.
But when you're, that's what I mean. People that are watching and listening to this will be like, "What the fuck?" But
Jem was in the restaurant just acting like that was normal. He's used to me. Right. He's phoned me up once. I'm bashing someone up. Jem, I'm just in the middle of giving someone a hiding. Put the phone to the ground. So if Jem was still around, like, he'd tell you some funny stories.
Yeah, he was good fun, Jem.
He was good fun. Yeah, he was a monster of a man, wasn't he?
Yeah. Him and did you remember Mr. Magoo?
That was Mr. Magoo.
He had narcolepsy. I don't know if he's still alive, but he was about 30 stone, and he'd be standing there and he'd just fall asleep. So he'd be talking to you and he'd be like, and you'd look at him and then you'd be like, "Magoo," and he'd be like,
"How did you know Jem?"
I met him through Wolf. There's a guy
Wolf
called
Pine.
So
Yeah.
Wolf Pine. There was a couple of guys, John and Alex.
Up in Salisbury.
Alex, the
They used to have a club down there, didn't they? What was the club?
It was a strip club, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he had, when we used to do our events, he'd all, so it was either Jem or Alex or John and Jem. So we had a couple of guys from down there that used to come up. And
it was a lovely fella, Jem. Literally, when I got depressed once.
Right.
For a long time, about a year. I was just like, didn't know what I was doing. I was having an affair, stick with a wife over here and all that, and plus running 5 limited businesses, limited companies, and the other stuff, and all the madness going on. That sort of kidnaps, that was every day. Right. People being kidnapped, people getting bashed up every day, like it was normal.
Was the Chinese the go-to place, though? You either took them for a Chinese...
No, that was a one-off, that one.
If you fucked them up, you give them the soup, but if they could...
Well, it was literally, we were meeting Jem up in Bournemouth, and we had him with us, and we got to take him off from that. I said, we're meeting Jem and that. Right. So, I mean, that's twice I've done that with Jem.
Be patient, yeah.
Yeah, there's another time, there was 2 lads I took down the New Forest. I think one owed me about 36 grand, one owed me about 6 grand, and I've took them down the New Forest, right? And I marched them into the woods, it's fucking dark, and... got a knife behind him. They've gone, we've got to stop, we can't go no further. I goes, "Get in there," and I walked forward, and feet when the water was actually, get back. Put them down on the knees. I said, "Get your tops off." Hands on the head, interlock the fingers. I'm literally like that. And I said, it's intimidation, you want your money back. And these 2 guys don't know each other, and they're facing each other like that, and they're looking at each other. One owes me 6, one owes me 36. I'm like that, and I said to my mate, I said, I won't say his name, I said, I told my mate not to bring these. I pulled out a syringe, anyway, got my money back. But anyway, after that, we took him on to Bournemouth again with Jem. We said, right, we're going to meet up with Jem. And he thought it was nuts. But it was... he
must have been thinking, who the fuck's Dan bringing today?
He loved me, Jem. It went, in a 10-year period, I reckon there was probably about 5, 6, 7 days he didn't call me.
Right.
And when I was down... When I was depressed, like, he said, "Dan, you all right? He'd phone me up, because, just leave me be, Jem, I'm fine. I'm just, nah, you're not all right, I'm coming down." He would drive down from Bournemouth to Southampton, to Eastleigh. Right, we're going for a Nando's. He'd get me out, and obviously he killed himself. Yeah. And when I got that phone call, well, actually, my phone... Did you think,
because it was out of the blue for me. I mean, I would never, I didn't even know he was going through a tough time, and it was, when you hear that, it was just out of the blue. I mean,
I felt very guilty.
I want to say a huge thanks to our sponsors, Fragrance du Bois. Now, for those of you that don't know about Fragrance du Bois, where have you been? It is one of the leading luxury fragrances only available in Harrods, Selfridges and Neiman Marcus in New York. They've got so many different fragrances for men, for women. All of the fragrances are unisex, so make sure you get involved and sample the delights of Fragrance du Bois. For all the Criminal Connection podcast crew, we've got a special discount for you. 10% off. All you need to do when you click on the link below and choose your luxury fragrance is to put in CCPOD10 for the 10% discount.
Because I wasn't there for him because I was in jail. When my missus, I phoned her up in jail, I literally dropped down on one knee. I was like, but I remember he'd been there for me when I was going through a tough time.
Right.
And I couldn't be, you ask yourself, could I have been there for him when he was going through a tough time?
Right.
And obviously our mate Ray, he found him. But that hit me pretty hard.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
But like I said, the whole mental health thing,
But if you're really good pals with someone, like you said, you speak to them every day, and then like you're in jail and then you get that call, it's just like, it's probably amplified even more when you're in jail, because like you're in fucking four walls, you can't do anything, can you?
No, that's right.
Did they let you out for the funeral or not?
No, of course not. My missus, Becky, she went on my behalf in that. Like I said, you're having to deal with your demons. I think where he was probably doing a bit of sniff and stuff, whatever else was going on in his life, I think that would have perpetuated the problem. And the thing is, right, I've come out of jail and it ain't easy, right? And I'm lucky, I've got a lot of good people, and we've got loads of friends, family, loads of support, right? You come out and you've got to readjust, right? And I'll tell you, it's different out here now. Like I said, there's the amount of cocaine use is through the roof. It's never been so high. It's never been like you can't go anywhere without everyone on it. And so for people who are, and I think, like I said, more social media interaction, people glued to their phones. For whatever reason, there's a few things going on in society, the shifts that are making people more depressed. I think social media is a big thing. People are glued to their phones. And they're also looking at all the haves. I think, I haven't got that, I haven't got this, or they're comparing themselves to people. And relationship problems, all these things that you get in life, right? And life's always been hard, right? But you start giving yourself that in your 40s, 50s, when life's hard anyway, and you've got problems. What it will do is perpetuate those problems. Right. I think if you're going through a hard time, right, your friends need to get around you and get you out of the house and get you networking, get you down to the gym, get you out and about. What they don't need to be doing is putting, it's because I think if you're doing all right, it's not the end of the world, but if you're having a hard time in your head anyway, then the last thing you need to do is deplete all your dopamine and serotonin and not have it for 3 days. You can go into a right box, and it can be called a downward spiral. And I think that's what happened to Jim. Right. Really. And I've seen it happen to a lot of people. Being that I obviously was running a boxing club and I put on the shows, a lot of people will come and sign up for an unlicensed boxing show, a lot of ex-amateurs or people because they're drinking too much, not getting on with the missus, doing a bit too much work, and they want some accountability. So they think, if I sign up for a fight, they're in their 30s or whatever, and I sign up for a fight, I've got to get fit. I can't go out and get on it. I've got to get fit because I've got to fight. There's no greater accountability. So then people will, in our circles, I think we're very open with each other. If people are having a hard time, they don't mind telling their mates, I'm struggling.
I think now a lot of people who've suffered with, friends have died or they've almost killed themselves, that they've now worked out, actually, if I talk to you about how I feel, no one's going to laugh at you and go, "Oh, shut up." But back in the 90s, or people would be like, "Shut up."
Definitely,
they wouldn't call you a snowflake then, but they tell you to man up. Do you know what I mean? But now it's literally like, if you talk to someone and say how you feel, nobody takes a piss at you. And I think the boys, especially, men of. I think they're getting behind each other. They're like buggers, you know what I mean? I think holding people up, which is nice.
Most people are good people, and even with all the bad shit I was doing, that was only ever business. Right. Your friends, you look after each other, and just in that game, obviously, money's involved and it goes sideways sometimes. But generally speaking, you want to see people doing well. Yeah. You don't want to see people going through hard times. And if someone comes to you with a problem, you want to help them. But there is a flip side to that doesn't get spoke about. And it's finding a balance. If you're really struggling, you need to have people you can rely on and talk about. What you can't, you have got to man up a bit and get yourself out of it. You've got to get down the gym. You've got to get out and do things. You've got to look to try and better yourself in some way. You find yourself a mission, a goal, because ultimately only you can dig yourself out that hole. You've got to find, maybe go see a counsellor. But what you can't do is be negative for a sustained period of time, because if you're negative for a sustained period of time, you're going to push people away. And that's your support network. If you keep pushing people away for a sustained period, maybe a year, 2 years, eventually your support network's going to become incredibly small. So you need to find intelligent ways. If you're struggling with mental health, it's a fight. It's a war. You've got to fight for your mental health. You know, you should want it. It's you. It's your life. You've got to fight for that. And I think get out and join a gym. You know, get out of the house if you don't want to. Go get a counsellor. Go read up on books which will teach you tools to handle that. But try to be positive, because positivity attracts more positivity. Negativity repels. And they don't teach people this. They don't teach any of these skills at school. They don't teach people how to get on with other people. They just, teach whatever they want to teach, and everyone becomes a regurgitation monkey, as I call it, But the life skills they don't teach, and they should do.
Well, one of the things that resonate with me, all that stuff you were saying, is anybody that is suffering, whether their business is tough or they're not earning enough money or they're depressed, they have to take massive action. And massive action is talking to people, reaching out, going to the gym. If you just sit indoors and go, "Oh, poor me," then like you said, you're just going to be overcome by
well, it becomes,
the negativity.
It becomes a circle, a vicious circle. If you're feeling down, you start withdrawing. You start not doing all the things that make you feel better, and then that leads to more low mood, which leads to more not doing the things you need to do to make yourself better. So at some point you've got to break the cycle. Like I said, you've got to be a fighter. You're right. I know I'm not happy, and I don't want to keep not being happy. So what do I need to do to fix this? And if that's getting down the gym, reaching out to people, but always be positive. Even if you don't feel it, make yourself positive, because like I said, it's a fight for you. You're fighting for you. So
and when you
on this, I will say, the government of this country make me sick on this point, because they're all over the TV, this, that, but they're not actually doing anything. If people are down, they should be able to reach out to their doctor and get a counsellor, and not only a counsellor, right, a life coach, right? And life coaches teach people skills, but they don't teach the skill, how to be pragmatic, how to be practical with your time, how to schedule, all the sort of things which lead you being successful. A life coach can teach you lots of the sort of things probably me and you have learnt along the way. A lot of people don't pick up them skills because they're hanging around with the people who are not interested in that sort of stuff. Right. And by the time they're in their 30s and 40s, they can become depressed because they've had years of not achieving, not being successful. And like I said, the government should. This is a very rich country, and the government should be helping them people. Like I say, but if it doesn't fix their narrative, they're not interested. I'm not big on conspiracy theories, but I do believe the government likes people to be weak. And because strong people rebel when things ain't right.
Right.
And there's a lot not right at the moment, as we know.
I think since obviously COVID and all these different wars that have been kicking off around the world, and obviously inflation. I mean, there's 100 reasons probably why the world feels like it's on fire at the minute. But I think you can allow it to consume you and worry about it, or you can just say, there's nothing I can do about this.
What I do. That's exactly
and
right.
I'm doing my thing, I'm in my lane. And it's a little bit like what you said earlier about social media. People shouldn't compare themselves to people or say, oh, why haven't I got that? Or why has he got this? Or why has she got this? Bottom line is, whatever you've got and whatever I've got, right, if I want to do more, I have to get off my arse and do it.
Yeah.
And if you want to do more, you got to get off your arse and do it. Nobody's going to give you anything,
No,
right?
right.
And I think a lot of people want to know what the shortcut is. That's why a lot of these people online now, you want to become rich, sign up to my course, give me
Absolutely.
some money and I'll make you rich. I'll mentor you to become rich. There's a couple of people that I've worked with who are really great mentors, right? But I think any of these sort of things where you got to pay people a load of money and sign up to their course and they're going to teach you how to be rich, you kind of go,
you get all that from a book for free.
If you really are that good at it, why aren't you doing it? Why are you teaching others? It's like, when you go to a drama school and there's an acting teacher and you sort of think, well, you can teach me to act, but you can't, you're not an actor, otherwise you'd be acting.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So in life, I think, there's people that do and there's people that teach, and that's not
Absolutely.
saying anything bad about teachers. Right, we all need
We need
teachers,
them, yeah.
we all need mentors, but it's finding the right ones because they're not all
If,
great.
if you want a mentor, right, and I teach my son this, like if you when I went to Westminster Business School, and there's a teacher there, and he's talking about employability skills. I think I'm not interested in employability skills. I don't want to work for anyone. And all these kids are talking about employability skills, and ultimately, like you say, you're talking about a professor who's never had a business, or if he has had a business, it's failed in 2 seconds, and he's gone to teaching.
Right.
And I'll say to my son, like, so I've got a team around my boy. He's going to be a good boxer. Look at every single person in your team, like the strength conditioning coach. He's Duncan Aldous. He's a former NBA player, America, sports science degree in the States, and he's a top CrossFitter. So he represents a good strength conditioning coach.
Right.
The boxing coach he's got is a former ABA champion, Henry Castle. He's had 25 pro fights. So they know their onions.
Right.
Now, if you want a mentor, you need to look at them and think, do I aspire to be like them?
And also, when you do go with a mentor, they might only be able to take you to that
Absolutely.
point.
You might surpass
And then
them.
you go, well, actually, you can't do anything. I know it sounds bad, but you can't do anything else for me now. Now I need this guy. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But look, some people are quite happy to just go along and work for somebody and have what I call a normal life. They don't want the pressure. They want to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, go home, spend time with the family,
And that's okay.
watch the telly, and that's absolutely fine.
That's fine, yeah.
But then other people that actually go, well, actually, I like that, but I actually want more. But my thing's always been, well, you can get it. But
Absolutely.
you've got to get off your ass and
I call that,
no one's going to give it to you.
They call that a growth mindset.
Right.
I think they call it. You've got a growth mindset. What's the opposite?
We should set up a mentoring.
A fixed mindset. You've got a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. But like,
Danny and Terry's mentoring course.
good, isn't it? Yeah. I think, every day.
And if you don't pay, we'll send the boys round.
That's it. Yeah. But the key is just being around other people with a growth mindset, because you encourage each other to do well, to grow.
Yeah.
And if you're with someone with a fixed mindset, they'll probably pour water on your fire. Why do you want to do that? That sounds hard. It's the last thing you want in life.
But it is hard. And that's the thing.
supposed to be hard.
Nobody goes out and says, if you go into business, it's fucking hard. You're going to fail. You're going to lose money. Things ain't going to work out. That everyone goes, oh, well, if I go and join this special business that's going to show me how to become rich. Yeah, and I spoke to someone the other day, and they said they went to this thing, and it's free, right, to get you in the door.
Yeah.
So they go, and the guy's on the stage with one of these head things.
You know what they call it, don't you?
What's that?
It's an old fraudster trick. Give a little to take a lot.
Right.
So whenever someone's giving you something for nothing, or they come with a load of flattery, you've got to be very, very careful. That's one thing you learn in jail.
Well, they got these people in this room, and before you apply for it, and then they go, you've been chosen to come on the thing. Like,
Yeah.
You're
You're
lucky,
special.
very lucky, right? And then what happens is the guy's on the stage and he's going, right, guys, he's going, I'm a multimillionaire. You too can be a multimillionaire, but you need to unlock your hidden talents. Right? You need to do this thing with me, and it was. I think he was trying to get him to give him 40 grand. So you pay this clown 40 grand, and what he does is, and I don't know this guy, by the way, right? But somebody was telling me about it and how this stuff is ripe. And that's why if you are going to do any of this stuff, make sure you do it with somebody reputable. Make sure you say to someone, as he mentored you, yes, he's good. Because this guy was trying to get people to give him 40 grand. And for that, he gave him a course, he gave him some books, right? And he had a one-to-one thing with him once a month. And there was a helpline if you need any help with it. And I actually said, and I said, did anybody actually do it? And she said, yeah. She said, 5 people got up and went over there. And the ones that were sat down, he was going, you're never going to be nothing because you haven't got the guts to sign up to this thing. And she's just sitting there going, you are really hard selling me.
Yeah.
Right? And then she said, so I just got up and walked out. And he was like, loser and all that. And she actually said to me, she said, do you know what the funniest thing was? Yeah, but you would have done so. But she walked out and she said to me, she said, if I'd have felt like pressure and I'd felt stupid and I'd have got up and done it, she said, that would have cost me 40 grand.
Yeah.
And I said, that'd have been the most fucking expensive book you've ever had in your life.
Do you know what? I think a lot of people, right? If I'm not happy about something, if someone's ripped me off in any way, if I've gone down a garage to fix my car and I know they're making things up, I'm going to tell them right there and then, what are you doing? Or if I'm being fobbed off by anyone, instantly I'm on it. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be the doctor trying to palm me off, because they do, you know, whoever. And I think assertive people do that, but most people are very submissive and what's the word, passive.
Right.
And then life just will trample over you if you're like that. You have to be assertive.
I also think if somebody listening or watching this podcast actually was thinking, I wouldn't mind setting up a business, but I don't know what to do. The answer is keep thinking, I want to set up a business. Look around you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's going to be something.
Yeah.
You know, all the people that have become millionaires or billionaires, they've walked around going, I want to do a business, and they've seen something and gone, that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Nobody, they haven't given someone 40 grand to teach them how to be
I
rich.
think Bezos was, you know, the Amazon guy. I think he started in his garage, just sending books from his garage.
A lot of people say I look like him.
Boy, that's one rich fella, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, I don't mind looking like him. I just want 10% of his wealth.
McDonald's, what's his name? The guy who had McDonald's.
Ray Kroc.
Ray Kroc, yeah, great story. Another book I read in jail. He didn't find success till his late 40s.
Look at Colonel
Everyone was
Sanders,
failure.
Kentucky Fried Chicken Man. He did the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Same thing.
But they were trying. They were trying. They were business people, entrepreneurs, whatever. They just kept trying. Failure. Massive success. Look at McDonald's. You know, look at KFC. Look at Amazon. You know, if you quit at the first failure, that's it. You're done.
Could be you.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Pick yourself up and go again.
And before you went, obviously, to jail, Dan, what was did you feel it coming on top?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what was the sort of events that led up to that, where you started? Because did at any point you felt I need to get out of this, or did you just think?
Yeah, I was definitely, like I say, I'm all bad. Yeah, I was a good dad. Spent a lot of time with my kids. There was normality.
Right.
Yeah, in the evenings, be back with my kids, and you know, I realised
in the day you're kidnapping, at night you're playing with action men and
all
dollies.
sorts. It was a mad life, you know. And I think I'd met a nice girl. I'd fallen out with the wife, I'd moved out, but I'd met a nice girl. It was going really good there, and I thought I'm quite happy here. Right. And I saw where I wanted to go. Right. And you know, with legitimate businesses and stuff. And I think, to be honest, the level of violence that was going on, the things that were going on, I think I had to go to jail, and I had to come off the train in that way. I mean, if you look at the guy I went to jail for, you know, they alleged in court that it was my old partner. They alleged it was over 100 grand debt, and you look at him, he's got 2 bullets in his head, and he's 6 feet under. So you know, you could say I was the winner there. I'm not going to jail, but I come out of jail having read
without 2 bullets in your head.
Without 2 bullets in your head. My kids doing well with the boxing. Went back into my old house.
Right.
I've got a nice home. I've got you know, I've done 30 courses. I've done a year of Open University. I've been at Westminster University. I've read probably 1,000 books. I've read everything from Plato, Aristotle. I've read you know, nearly all of Charles Dickens' books, Jane Austen's. I've read so much history, and my glass ceiling is elevated from the back of that. So I don't feel bad about going to jail. I needed to get off that train.
And when you got arrested, what was that in relation to? What had actually happened?
Well, basically, there'd been a fight in my gym. The guy who organised that, was a guy they alleged was my ex-partner, and I think he'd moved up to Birmingham to get away from me because he thought we were going to do him bad, and you know, I think there was a story allegedly that he went up to my wife when we were split up and said to her, you know, Danny's going to hurt you or something, and you need to fuck off and get away, and take him for every penny. Of course, he didn't know that we was actually back seeing each other at the time. Right. So, you know, she laughed and saw me, and I did hear a rumour that I sent 2 people, one gunned up, with orders to, if his mum answered the door, pistol whip her. If a dad or the brother answered the door, put one in their leg. Lucky no one was home. So, you know, that's where it was going.
Right.
Anyway, fight at the gym, and I'm thinking, right, that could have been the house, you know. I could have been upstairs with my daughter, because I was with my daughter when, in the house when I got the call, rushed around the building, it was on fire. Luckily, it got put out very quickly. They set fire to the gym, but only hit the reception. It didn't really go through.
So there was a fight organised at the gym.
Yeah.
But then after the fight, didn't they firebomb the gym? Did they? Or
That was it. They just set fire there, and then obviously I'm thinking, right, I need to find this guy. He started off to Birmingham. I would have people who could find out where people live very effectively, but he kept everything in his girlfriend's name, where they lived, car, everything. So you didn't know who she was, so I couldn't find out where he was. And I'm thinking, if I don't find this guy, then like I said, the next fire could be here, or it could be a bit of bullet in my head. You know what I mean? Because it wouldn't have been no big deal for him to put 10 grand in me or something. So or either way. So I thought better find him. And I said, I think with all the pressure of life at that time, with all the businesses and everything else, all the violence and separating from the missus, should I be with her or the new girlfriend, I weren't really functioning like I'd normally, and starting to get involved with drinking, drugs and things like that as well. So, I panicked and I thought, right, I better kidnap someone who knows where he lives. So who do I know who might still be selling some drugs for him? Get hold of them, have a little word with him, get him to tell me where they where he might be. So, for instance, get him to put an order in. Right. He'll come down, or we'll send a runner, get hold of the runner, and then have a word with him, whatever that involves, and then find him. But was the way the fair is really. I think originally, I knew a guy who was doing a grow for him, and I thought, right, we'll get him and we'll give him an ultimatum. And the guy I'm talking about, I'd beat with a hammer previously, so he weren't going to say no. But
he made it. Don't make me get my hammer out.
Yeah, and true story.
Right.
Anyway, we won't go down there.
Right.
So the idea was to go this grow, get him to say all the weeds, like, it's all got spider mite, and we'll have to cut it down. He would want to come down and see it first. And what a perfect location and setting to really, really dig into this guy.
Right.
And we would have dug into him bad, But, couldn't get hold of him, so we got hold of another guy who sold drugs, all dressed up, wanting to play. Everyone's got their valleys on and all that, all tooled up. So we got hold of another guy and started saying, right, when you get hold of G, give you $3,000. And I ended up losing my rag because he wasn't forthcoming with the information, and it all started going a bit sideways. Anyway, he got away. We went for a drink with him, he got away, and actually I found him hiding under, phoned the police, and they found him hiding under a caravan. They went and got his wife and kids out of the house, pulled them out of the house, moved them all up north, from what I'm told. I was also told by my solicitor that they paid him £20,000 in cash, right, which they said in court was expenses. And
so he was in witness protection?
He was in witness protection, right. Yeah. And anyway, so if you read the last bit in the papers, we went through 3 trials. We had 2 trials, we didn't have the third trial. The 2 trials, supposed to be the third trial, and the judge had enough. And when there was no one in the room, he pretty much in his way let us know, I've had enough of this. You know what I mean? We got dragged on for 18 months. We know you're guilty. And I thought, this geezer's going to go in on us. You know what I mean? And it's quite easy for them to direct the jury any which way they want,
right,
and whatnot, and make it hard for your solicitor. And he just had enough. So we all just fucking give it up.
So what did they actually charge you for?
So they charged me for conspiring to kidnap the guy they alleged was my ex-partner, and for actually kidnapping the other fella. So, because they couldn't say that we were definitely going to kidnap him, so they said that was going to be a false imprisonment. But where there's movement involved, they call that a kidnap. Obviously, if you're held without your will.
Right.
So yeah, they moved him 4 times before the trial. So yeah, so they must. To be honest, they thought I was more than I was. They thought I was more capable than I was. They must have thought I had more reach than I did, because we were done. Really. By the time I went to jail, it was all collapsing. Everyone was right on it, partying. I said, you're only as strong as your weakest link. I was acting up, so I was my weakest link, because I was putting trust in people and giving them roles of responsibility that they weren't fit for, and they were getting on it. You can't trust someone who's out there putting a shovel up his nose if they're in a position of trust, they're going to fuck up. Right. So you've got all these people just, bad choices all round. And they've run its course.
And when you was in court, did you just plead guilty, or did you let it go?
In the third trial.
Right. Okay.
So the first 2 trials collapsed.
Right.
You'd laugh, but the first trial, everyone in Southampton thought we'd got to the jury, because something like that. So, but what happened was they kept on.
Because they all kept going, "Oh, Danny's such a lovely guy." Yeah, he wouldn't do anything like that.
Yeah, you got laughing there.
So obviously the first trials collapsed. The second trials collapsed.
What happened is all the jury members kept coming in, and they kept on saying, "We know him," or "We've heard about him." If they know you or know of you, or have heard you're a sinister character or something like that, the judge has got to get rid of him because they'll be biased. Every jury member that come in would know one of us. That'd be the six of us there.
I suppose that's probably Mr. Southampton, right?
yeah, it weren't very good. The first trial collapsed.
Right.
I think the second trial collapsed because there was a jury member, the foreman. He was basically trying to steer everyone into getting us guilty, and he was doing his own research. Then the second trial collapsed.
Right.
So then we was going to have a third. And by that point,
third time unlucky.
No, we've got enough.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Go on. That way.
And what did you get? What was the actual charges you pled guilty to?
Kidnap and conspiracy to force prison.
Right.
There was another guy that got in the dock who ratted us out, and he asked for witness protection. I don't think he got it. He just moved him house. But didn't give him jail. They done him for assisting an organised crime group. And imagine this: so 6 of us, all suited and booted in the dock, 6 big lads, and you got this rat in the corner, and they got him surrounded by about 4 or 5 security, with us there, in case we, whatever, just making it look as bad as possible.
Right. Wow.
That ain't influencing the jury. You know what I mean?
And then what did you actually get?
We tried to get my solicitor to mention the fact because they'd found out. So he says that they had paid the witness, the one in witness protection. They tried to, put it out there that they've been paid 20 grand, so out and on. So he's been influenced unfairly. But obviously the jury go out of the room while you have this discussion. And I think they called it expenses. Right. That's expenses.
Well, I don't know what they've been eating, but there's some nice meals.
It was a Mickey Mouse offence, really.
Right. But you got, was it 43 years you all got?
Between us, yeah. It was a Mickey Mouse. They just wanted to get rid of us.
Right.
So, it was a Mickey Mouse offence. And I think more barristers told me I was at 6, I got 9. But on the day of the trial, I started going about 16. So, you're looking at serious time here, this, that. Well, how's that jumped up to that, And so when I got my 9, I was over the moon. Yes, right. I was shadowboxing in the dock. I was like, you had all the old Bill going, fucking, what's he doing, And they looked horrified.
Yeah,
they want to see you crying like a little baby. I think one of the Codys was crying like a little baby.
Right.
But I was over the moon. I thought, yes.
And when you sort of went to your first prison, what was it like? Because obviously, if you've not been to prison before. Was it daunting, or was it just like another chapter of the journey? So you walked in and was just like,
Well, we've been at the police station for 2 or 3 days, whatever it was. So that is absolutely shit. So we was glad to be able to walk about and move about. But I remember thinking, fucking, this is boring. This is unbelievable boring. You're looking at all the people, like all the youngsters, like just they don't care. For whatever reason, they don't care. They've not got a lot going on. And all I'm thinking about all the businesses collapsing, so I'm not stressing. Just thinking, cool,
Do you have any trouble when you was in jail? Do you have any?
Yeah, I had a few good fights. Not many really. I tried to do my jail good, just educate myself. I had a real bad temper when I moved in. That took a while to eradicate and learn to control my emotions. And all the education I was doing definitely helped with that, because you're reading like Charles Dickens books and Thomas Hardy books and Jane Austen books.
And was that the inspiration of that? What inspired you to?
That was my girlfriend at the time. I said, I was having an affair, and the girl I was seeing, she was really good. I think she stuck by me about 15 to 18 months while I was in, but I'd seen her about a year and a half before. And, she was a pretty little thing. She'd be reading books. She'd be reading the classics, all this. And rather than watching the TV, don't get me wrong, we'd watch a box set or whatever, but she'd offer me reading. And she read this book and that book. I thought, I was really impressed, because she was from a real rough little state, like we said, and in Southampton, and she'd worked hard to improve herself. I think she's bought about 2 properties now, and I was just very impressed by this girl who was by herself, but managing her 2 kids, had a really nice, homely home, and she put herself through courses. She had her own little business doing eyelashes. She was, but the fact that she was reading Jane Austen books and things like that, just kind of. So when I was one day I was in the library. I always read boxing biographies. And before jail, I must have read every boxing biography you think of. So I've gone down to the library and I've seen like the classics. And they look big, scary, you know. And one day I picked one up. I think we'd watched the film together, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, my favourite. Yeah. And anyway, like I said, didn't know all the words on the book, so I phoned her up. Send me in a dictionary, send me in a thesaurus, send me in some stationery. I started writing down all the words. And I was always on the phone, send this in, send that in, you know. And she was looking after my businesses at the same time, doing her best, and running the gym, sweet shop, cafe had to be sold. She's running all that, and she's really looking after me. You know, she was coming out of jail. At first, she was coming there 3 times a week because you're on remand, so you can come up as often as you want. I said, babe, you can't come and see me 3 times a week. You know, you've got to run the businesses. It was like a 6-hour round trip with a 2-hour visit to Bullingdon. No, yeah, I need to keep the connection and things like that. And anyway, she whittled it down to 2 times a week, which is still a lot. And but yeah, she was always very supportive of me doing well, education, things like that, and really proud of me. And you know, I think that was having met someone, like we say, you become the average of the people you hang around with the most. And obviously, most of my friends now, all business people, all good people, all highly motivated. But we probably spend most of our time with our partner. So you need to choose your partner well. You know, if you're with someone who's going to pour water in your fire, you've got a business idea. No, what do you want to do that for? Or they're not very motivated. Don't go to the gym. Then some of that's going to run off. Eat loads of rubbish food. You know, you live with a fat person, you're probably going to get fat. No offense to it, you know. But you know, if you're with someone who's well together, looking to better themselves, ambitious, driven. Yeah. Then that's going to rub off. The two of you are going to bounce off each other. So it was a good time in my life, I think.
And your fights you said you had in jail, you said you had a couple of fights. I
Not
take
many.
it was over quite quickly.
Do you know what? The first one was I landed on the wing where I broke their mate's jaw in about 6 places on the out. And there was no problems at all. But my mate, I didn't know there were problems going on in the background. My mate had bought a phone the night before. But we all got locked away, right? And obviously we want to get out of this situation, so you need a phone to do that. Right. So anyway, in the morning, I said, go get the phone. He's going to go get the phone, and he came back looking all dejected. He said he's flushed the phone. I just rushed out the cell, run down the stairs on the wing, and you know, I'm chasing this little around the pool table. Don't forget, we've only just got there, right? But we've landed on a hostile wing with someone who's all friends of, you know, it's all getting stirred up. Right. And if you land on a wing, right, with your enemy, and he's already there, and he's established, made friends with everyone on the wing, you're in a bit of bother, because it takes time to establish yourself on the wing. Right. So all of a sudden, I've got people attacking me from everywhere. And I don't remember what happened very well, because I know I knocked that little cunt out cold. I smacked someone, knocked him out cold. But I remember people throwing shit, fucking, with metal objects like attached to the table, just bang, you know. So all I know is I stayed on my feet and my fucking hands were bruised to fuck. Right. And there's people out everywhere. There were 2 IPBs up on the top, Kieran, pair of absolute lunatics, and they go, fuck me, Dan, we looked at that man can fight. Well, that stayed me in good stead in that chill for a long time. Everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, don't fuck about with him.
Yeah, he's knocked out about 7 geezers. I'm sure that them geezers, Muppets that they are, got a different spin on that, but you know. Right. Yeah, you know what happened there. Yeah. So anyway, no problems in that jail after that. Even the Screws 9 months later were talking about that story. Right. And the only other one I can think of, I've whacked a few people. I've seen people doing things I didn't like. I didn't like to see people robbing people on the wing. You know, you know, you've got people sticking spoons up people's asses to get the drugs out and things like that. It's like, I was horrified. So if there was anything like that around me,
Danny, if someone comes over with a spoon, Danny, and you, mate, I'm not the guy.
Mate, do you know what? I had a lot of empathy when I went to jail. A lot of empathy. Don't forget, I had a nice household. I was good to people in the community and that. And as long as you didn't owe me a pound note, you was right. So seeing all this, I was like, what the fuck?
So people used to hide their drugs up their arse.
Of course.
And then
if you can take in a load of gear, you can make a lot of money, especially spice, because it's on paper, a little square, can't remember what it's worth. I didn't get involved in none of it. Right. But you know, you can come out and make good money. Or you might have a mobile up there and all sorts of shit.
But people actually go around and
they will beat the fuck out of people and literally stick a spoon up their arse, spoon them. Yeah, and water up there. I've heard all
So it's not. So and that's if they think
you're in a
got
very
something.
dangerous place. If you're in a British prison, you're in a very, very dangerous place. I can't remember which politician it was. Basically, they decided to, I think, cut the staffing levels by 2/3, something like that. So literally, you've got a load of dangerous, violent people in the wing, and some bright sparks decided to cut the staff by 2/3. Then when they realised they fucked up and made a mistake, they've put new staff on. But you can't get people who've had 30 or 20 years of experience, ex-military, who know how to handle us sorts, know how to talk things down, be respectful. All of a sudden, you've got these kids just in for a wage, they're scared, they don't know what to do, they don't know how to talk to people, and they're not in control of that violent environment. So, you're in a dangerous place now, much more dangerous than it's ever been.
And for you, when you was obviously in the jail, I mean, like you said, you didn't really have that much trouble. But
no,
did you
remember, my missus said to me, Becky, she said when she come see me, I was down the police. She was like, listen, a lot of people are going to want to fight you because you're your name. And, that wasn't really the case because most people in there ain't got no arsehole. That's the truth. As soon as they realise you're going to be in danger if you come unstuck here, But there is an element of that,
Right.
So, I remember going to one jail and someone's going, I've heard about you. People are talking about you.
Right.
And what they say, they said you like to fight or you're mental or whatever. But that can go wrong for you, because there's some very dangerous people in there, and if 4 or 5 people, 6 people, got cheered, whatever, it's a dangerous situation. I know there's jails where they've got metal workshops. They can't, why would you have a metal workshop in jail? Right. I swear to God, they must love the anarchy, the people that run these places. Why would you have a metal shop in a jail when you've had someone stabbed to death in the fucking chapel there the year before? You get rid of the metal workshop, wouldn't you?
Right.
They don't give a fuck about us, right? And what's more, right, I think the most anti-establishment thing you can do in jail is to educate yourself. They don't want you doing that at all. They will make that hard for you. I had one pal of mine who was in for the biggest weed importation of all time, I think, like 57 million quid or something. Lovely guy, was a hippie, like a little hippie.
Right.
And he was doing a degree, and he said the most proper anti-establishment, the most anti-establishment thing you can do in here is to get a degree, is to study, right? And they want you working, don't they? And these 20p an hour jobs, which sat there, making little boxes, letting your brain go stupid. If you're studied, you know what he did to his, when he would put in when he put in his paperwork for his degree, I forget what they're called now. What do they call them? When he's done a test, they would put it in the bin.
Right.
The screws would sometimes put his work in the bin. He just spent a week or whatever getting his paperwork out, his exam or whatever, and they put it in the bin. They do not like you bettering yourself in there. They want nothing more than have people smoking spice. So for me, getting up, doing my burpees, I used to run the wrong way around the yard. They'd normally open the yard up in the morning. As soon as I got out, everyone would be walking around like a load of zombies. I'd run. I'd be running the opposite way. You know what I mean? And that's my way of saying, fuck you.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about you lot.
Right.
Or get my mate holding the pads for me. Come over to Tanner, get off the pads, fuck off. You know what I mean? Right. So don't get me wrong, when I was doing my job my way. Right. I'm not going to sit in a cell, watch junk TV and smoke spice for 4.5 years. I'm going to plough through books. I remember one time I put my TV under the bed, and one of the screws said, Danny, is everyone going, why is your TV under the bed? And I said, what's that got to do? I want to watch junk TV all day. You know what I mean? And so what I used to do is to keep the TV under the bed, wake up about 4:30, put the TV on, watch the business news, TV back under the bed, do my burpees, have my routine, and I'll start studying.
And when you was in jail, I mean, obviously this isn't related to you, but what's the worst sort of violence you saw?
I never seen no one killed in jail. Probably.
Was it just the normal stuff like hot water and shanking?
Yeah, it was hot water, bit of all the oil and sugar in it. And the first thing he's done is grabbed his face, and it literally just kind of peeled off. Looked fucking horrible. But to be honest, like, you're just looking at it like it's extraordinary. Right. You get so used to
desensitised,
Yeah. Worst thing I had in there. Someone tried to do me for a pal of his. I don't know. He was a big guy who was doing hits around the jail. He was, I don't know how tall he was, 6'4" or something like that, but young guy, about, he was clean jerking 100 kilo for fun in the gym. He was a big, strong guy. He was doing hits. Anyway, he was all right, mate. How you doing? All right? Everything's cool. So you think, I just flew up with a girlfriend. Someone had set a car on fire. The guy got in the head, funny enough. Anyway, so I sat in her bed, and I'm feeling sorry. I'm feeling quite bad about it. Don't forget, she'd been looking after me, so I was used to that support network.
Right.
All of a sudden, you're on your own, and it cut me quite deep as well. So, probably weren't eating as much as I was, weren't very motivated, weren't very fight. I'm on the end of the bed, I'm leaning over, the doors had just been opened by the screws. It's about 8 in the morning, I'm doing my laces up, and all of a sudden I looked up and boom, big strong guys hit me in the face, and more for him because he should have brought a tool, but he didn't, and he should have took me out of that shot, but he didn't, and but he did rock me to my core. I got up on my feet, I started, but boom, boom, boom. He's hitting me more shots and fucking, like I said, he should have took me out because I remember shook to my core. When you get hit like that, and you get a jolt of white lightning, and about jolt of white lightning lasts too long, you're out, right? So I don't know how I stayed on my feet, but I'm trying to grab hold of him and disorientated, and all of a sudden he's round the back of me, and he's grabbed me like that, and he's got this part of his forearm dug into my throat, and that's a very unsafe choke. If you're like that, you'll cut off the blood supply to the brain, they'll pass out. But if you're doing that, you'll choke someone to death. And he was literally putting with all his might. He was crushing my throat. And I remember thinking, Dan, you're going to die. And I was didn't panic because I said I didn't panic. Probably did a bit. I'm realising, this is a bad situation. If he keeps doing this, you're going to die. And I must have, I don't know how many fights I've had, a lot of fights. So, I'm not going to panic like normal people would. I'm thinking, right, you need to get out of this or you're dead. Because if he's panicking, he knows if I get out of this, he's fucked. So he's pulling with all his might. And I think, right, he's gonna kill me by accident. He's gonna think, I just got to hold on for dear life. So, and I'm kind of aware of this. And so I've gone into the crease like you talked to, just did a bit of jiu-jitsu, and that buys you more time. And, but eventually he'll still go. Managed to get my thumb in his eye, him there, and screaming, he started letting go. And, and I was fucked. He's already beat me half to pieces with these big shots. He's crushed my windpipe. And, but he's going, that's it. Now that I'm stood up in front of him. And I've hit him with a left hook. And he's half buckled. A big guy, he's buckled. And I think normally I would took him out of that shot, but I'm half dead. And he's just panicked and I don't even want to fight back. That's the strength of these people.
Right.
That's the difference. When you're a boxer or a fighter, and there are two different types of boxers, as you got your fighters and your boxers. I'm a fighter. I won't take a backward step. So, he just folded, just gave up. So I was just sort of the gap, right into his guts, clipped his rib, broke his ribs. I'm not thinking about hurting him. I'm thinking about ending him.
Right.
You've come into my cell. As far as I'm concerned, you nearly killed me. So if I could have killed him, I would have killed him. I'm gripping his neck, and I've got my thumb there. I'm pushing it through his apple. I'm going to fucking kill you. And I'm looking through the flap, and they're looking. So his pals are obviously watching the door for him. And yeah, that's right, it's going sideways, mate. Punch! I'm nutting him again and again. I'll give you something to look at, boys. I'm nutting him, and I'm trying to crush his throat. I stood back, hit with another body shot. He's folded down. And what I should have done, I spent weeks and weeks thinking about this afterwards, just pushed his head down, put him in a guillotine, and just let him go. But I didn't do that. I threw him across the room like a rag doll. I'm looking for a pen to stick in his neck. Because, you've just been put in a life or death situation.
Right.
One of you is going to die. You're in a cell, he's trying to kill you. So luckily for me, lucky for him, I didn't find a pen. The room was smashed to pieces where we were smashing each other around the room. So I just started stamping his head. When the screws come in, they pulled me back. And I literally fell through the back of the door. Got up, they left me alone, walked over to the railway, the banisters. I think it was four landings deep. I was just thinking, I'm having a breather. I'm having a well-deserved breather. Yeah?
Got any water?
And they've dragged him out like that. And they've dragged him out like that.
And what was that? Somebody that actually put him up to that?
Yeah, someone put him up to that. And it was over a bird, I think. I didn't know it was over a bird. Some bird I'd been shouting was actually at a guy she was seeing who was in jail. And he wasn't happy about it. Right. And I shagged her again when I got out. Anyway, so she stirred up a bit of trouble. And was that. Funny thing is, I think them two ain't getting on now. I think the one that tried to do me unsuccessfully has got a contract out, and the other one I don't know, something like that. They've all
happy families.
Happy families. Yeah.
and the
that was the closest I ever come to dying.
Wow.
And and the closest I ever come to purposely killing someone. I think.
I mean, thank God you didn't find that pen because you would have definitely done it.
Exactly. And I said, I'll give it a lot of thought. Had I put me in a guillotine, I reckon I got away with that. I said, I was holding on for dear life. But yeah, I think you might have trouble explaining the old pen.
No, I was writing the thing and he just come in and I just went like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't get away with that. Yeah, but
yeah, but you got 50 holes in his neck. It wasn't just one. It was 50.
What he didn't know. So I was on a wing where I was with a few hostiles. Obviously powers of his. What he didn't know is I couldn't move my arm after that. About an hour after that fight, I couldn't move my arm at all. And I had a pal of mine on the wing who was very feared around that area. It was up Lewis Way, Brighton Way. He was ex-Special Forces, 12 years in the private sector. What's that? I can't remember. 12 years in the forces, Special Forces, 7 years in the private sector. Built like a brick shit house, and he was really feared around there. He was in for cutting someone's thumbs off with an axe. Got 20 for that. He was off key. Lovely fella. And we'd warm up and stretch on the prison yard together. Right. I remember saying he was a Krav Maga expert. I said, you teach me a bit of Krav Maga, I'll teach you a bit of boxing. Right. We formed a good friendship. I said, listen, I'm fucked. I can't move my arm. Right. And you need to watch more back. Don't worry, Dan. Stick with me. All right. Don't let anyone know. And so, I was all good. Took about a week or two to get better. Yeah.
And what was I know you said that your alleged sort of ex-partner, he obviously got assassinated. Yeah. What happened? Was the guy, the other informant? Did he get taken out as well?
No. So he I don't know what it's like.
What happened to the other guy?
The guy got kidnapped. Right. In the paper, the CPS part of their summing up was they'd moved him 4 times before the trial. So that was obviously inferring to the judge, these are very, very serious people, and we've had to move this guy 4 times before the trial. Trust me, mate, they did not need to do that. What I mean? Wouldn't have found him in the first time.
Because there was a story about a guy who got stabbed, I think 19 times. Who was that?
Right. So someone had talked. Right. Someone had been messaging my girlfriend at the time, pretending to be me. I'm talking like sexual stuff and all sorts. So,
why would they do that? Was it?
Was
this when you was in jail?
Yeah, pretending to be me. So what they do, they say, "Babe, I've got a phone, but the speaker's broken. So it's all text. Get my watch to so and so, and all charges will be dropped." Do you know what I mean? So I lost a nice watch, nice Rolly. Wow. Anyway, she come in bawling on the visit, like crying her head off. I said, "Babe, what's wrong? What's wrong, darling?" And she was like, "Tell me what happened." I started laughing. I just lost a 14, 15 round watch. I was laughing. I goes, "Come on, babe, calm down. It's only a watch. It's only money. Money comes back. Listen, you got to give it to him. Fair play to the little cunts. Right. Stupid as fuck, but fair play to him." Right. And anyway, you put on the happy face for the missus, but you are Stephen.
A little bit angry.
And obviously the fact that
it's only 15 grand. It's
more the fact that they were like, the sexual stuff. She was bawling, real good girl. Right. And
that's a liberty.
That's a fucking liberty. There's a thing in Machiavelli's The Prince. I don't used to read that book. You read that one?
It's a good book.
It's a good book, right? And I read it in the old text. It's brilliant. I wrote down word for word. I wrote down my thoughts. And one thing a man will not forgive, right? Basically, I can't remember. Was fucking with his missus, personal matters like that. Right. It won't be forgiven, And anyway, but I am trying to like I said, I'm trying to come out the other side of this, So I'm quite a religious person. I've always been a religious person, and believe it or not. And I've gone to chapel. I've got down on my knees, and I swear to God, I've gone, little prayer. I've gone, God, please kill my enemies, so I don't have to. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, one of them gets stabbed to death. The one who done the watch on the out, where his brother's the one, and he gets stabbed 19 times.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. He's with me, you know what I mean? Yeah. Always been on my side.
Wow. Did you get the watch back?
No.
Right, okay.
But that was good enough. Yeah. But the guy who killed him, he ended up coming into the jail. I think he come into the jail and was trying to meet up with me, trying to, is Danny there? I thought I might look after him, help him out in some way. Right. But I would have liked to have met him. Right. His hand. But nasty people. That's what they were doing. They're robbing people left, right, and centres. Left, right, and centre. Fearless. Crackheads. Absolute crackheads, but fearless. They've got nothing to lose. That's one thing you learn. Be careful of people who've got nothing to lose.
And obviously, like, you've gone through your jail time. you come out.
Also, back to the prayer.
Oh, sorry.
He gets stabbed to death 19 times, and then probably two and a half years later, the guy I'm in for, the alleged ex-partner, gets shot in the head twice. And then his kind of right-hand man, he's actually got the balls to walk into my missus' sweet shop and say to her, look...
please tell me he chokes on a bonbon.
I wish. Right, he's gone. Please tell Danny I was manipulated by this fella, and everything I did, I was just manipulated by G, and I'm moving to Scotland with some girl I've met, and I don't want no trouble, and laughed on it. He didn't stay there, sadly, but if ever he wants a straightener, right. We can sort that out.
Yeah.
For a few quid, I'll pay you good money. Sell some tickets
and
raise some money for charity.
And I take it then the rest of your prison time went pretty well. You didn't
I'll say I was just I got more and more obsessed with reading and education. So I actually done 30 courses.
Wow.
And a year of Open University, and then got day released to Westminster University, which is blinding, right? I can believe it. How the f*** have I got university? I got kicked out of every school I ever went to. 14 convictions of violence by the time I...
Did you get to wear one of them big hats? They wear them big hats.
Do you know what? It was in lockdown, so it was spooky. The whole university was pretty much empty. Wow. And me and 3 or 4 other prisoners were all going into, we had a whole classroom each to ourselves.
Right.
So it was pretty wacky. I was walking, you're allowed to be within 20 minutes of university.
Right.
So that, if they phone you, because obviously you'll go out and eat.
Okay.
And so for me, I'm out eating good food again and hitting the gym. I was laughing.
Yeah. And then when you actually got out of jail, Dan, was you right? I'm going to go back into crime, or did you actually think, do you know what? I'm fucking done with this shit. Because like you said, once you've gone through that, it's like a transformative process, isn't it? Where you've educated yourself. You've realised that you want to get your businesses back. You want to go on the right side of the law.
I won't say it's been everyone will look at me and think, "F me, Danny's moving fast." I mean, actually, I had an OnlyFans company as soon as I come out.
You was what?
An OnlyFans company. Everyone's like, I think I saw some bird one day. She's phoned me up, come round, and she's on about OnlyFans. What the fuck is OnlyFans?
Right.
I did OnlyFans for money, and I'm thinking, I could have about 20 girls doing this. I thought I could have 500 girls doing this.
Wow.
I thought, because you see what's out there. If you're a business person, you see if there's gaps in the market. This could be run well. It's only a social media thing, so you just get a social media person on board.
Were you the king of OnlyFans then?
Nah, I wish. No, I can't really tell you how that went wrong. That's a bit of a dodgy one.
Okay.
But I'll get someone in trouble. But it was a bit of fun.
Right.
We just didn't have a clue what we were doing with the social media at that time.
Right.
I'd just been away, but come out back in a nice motor, which my partner sorted out for me, and we're having a good giggle. Right. And then back running the boxing shows. And to be honest, being humble, I started coaching boxing again, just doing one-to-ones, getting 50 quid an hour, doing a bit of boxing. I'm as busy as I want to be with that. If I wanted to work 12 hours a day doing boxing lessons, I would be. I'm good at that. I'm really focused on the boxing shows now. So a friend of mine who runs one of the biggest, Dan Lockwood, runs one of the biggest security companies in Bournemouth. He's invited me down there to run a boxing show down there. So I think his partner's dropped out with his old partner or something. And they said, would you like to take over the show? And actually there's another venue, a guy called Gardino or something. He's get his name wrong, but he's just poured £1 million into a little nightclub down there, right. And it'll be probably the most lavish in Bournemouth. Wow. So we'll be the first people to run boxing shows there. So I'll have the biggest show in Southampton, biggest show in Bournemouth, and we're also doing a collaboration with a good mate of mine, Danny, who runs DKM Promotions. Yeah, Danny McLaren, a very good guy in the boxing scene. He's run professional boxing shows and unlicensed boxing shows. He reckons there's more money than unlicensed, funny enough. Right. And so we're going to do a collaboration with him, probably, I won't say the venue, but probably in Bournemouth. Okay. South Coast versus London. Right. And the venue we're looking at holds 2,000 to 2,500 people, so that'll be a step up. Amazing. So I'll have my shows in Southampton, my shows at Bournemouth and the collaboration with him. Okay. And we're also doing collaboration on celebrity boxing. So we've got Roy Jones coming to Southampton and Bournemouth. So that'll be my first kind of foray into that. Things are just moving very fast at the moment. A lot of opportunities. Obviously, I'm working on my book, bringing that out.
How long have you been out of jail for then?
3 years.
Oh, right, okay. So
I should, to be honest, I feel like I should have got a lot further. But if I'm honest, like I would say,
with all the fucking shit going on, it's probably took longer because of that.
I split up with my wife. I mean, we were never really working very well. We get on great as friends. It was a lot for her to process the affair I'd had, and she'd be like, going on about that, and that didn't really work out. So it's not working, you walk away, don't you?
Right.
And we've got a great relationship, better as friends. Work really well with the kids.
Amazing.
But like, so I'd say like I probably went down the pieing route a little bit, with girls and whatnot, and I would say that slowed me down a bit. So I'm back to being a teetotaler, and that works better for me. Everyone's different, but I can push the envelope a little bit too far. I was a teetotaler for 14 years, from '98 to about I think it was 2013 or something. Teetotal. I was teetotal in jail, obviously. Most people aren't, but all for their face all day.
Yeah.
But I think that definitely slowed me down a bit. So lately, I've just gone right back to being hyper-disciplined like I was in jail, reading a lot of books, journaling, working my book, and really pushing the boxing forward.
Wow. I mean, and the book, how far are you down the road with that?
Not far enough, but about coming up halfway, I'd say.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a life coach, my mate Tom Watson, who's an ex-UFC fighter. He's done a master's degree in sports science and a degree in marketing. He's like, Dan, you need to get this book out. Have
you got a name for it?
Just get a ghostwriter.
Got a name for it?
Yeah, Cartwell Conspiracy.
I love that.
I love it, yeah. It's all fictional, of course.
Right, of course. But allegedly. but what's great about it is when we put this podcast out, hopefully the book will be available, and then we can obviously drop the thingies. But I mean, we should talk about a movie, really, shouldn't we? We should be because I definitely want to be making that film for sure.
Do you know what? Like Rise of the Foot Soldier, I love that film because it takes you through eras. It takes you through the football, soccer hooliganism, through the 80s, through the 90s, when everyone starts getting on the pills. Also, you've got all these kids are fighting each other on the terraces. All of a sudden, they're all loving each other on the pills and the drug dealing that goes with that. So it's very multifaceted. Right. And I think gangster films have been done a lot, but I think the difference with it is obviously the pretext of the Cartwell Conspiracy, right? You got your centre hub. So how to do it properly, I suppose. Right. But also not glorifying it, because I don't want to glorify myself or the book. Like I said, I'll be very adamant about that. Yeah. I wouldn't. For me, I degenerated. I started falling out of a lot of good friends and people and hanging around the wrong people, because that's kind of the way it goes now. And also, it's a time gone by now, because come out, and where I live, foreigners have taken over every single restaurant, pub, and they're doing their thing now, and there's no room. The old ticket lines, people are buying 3 for £1, 1 for 40 quid, all that. If the foreigners are all selling the big bits, but then also doing the little bits, the scraps, the crumbs. My mate said to me once, I said, well, we don't get involved in that, and he said, Dan, you've got to lick the plate clean, you got to have the crumbs as well. Right. Well, that's what they're doing. Right, and that's, so they're selling bigger bits to smaller people. How are these smaller people going to get their bits out if they're doing both ends of it? They're not. And more people, if you can order a gram of cake or a ticket or whatever, or 3 for £1 in, and it'll be there in 10 minutes.
3 for £1, it sounds like a special deal.
It's probably sounds like it's probably a bit more than that, Danny. But the fact is, the game's done for English people, right? Because
and also
you can't compete with that. They'll drop it off in 10 minutes. They'll run 24-hour lines. Right. So you're not going to compete with that. It's only going to get less and less and less. Probably not a bad thing.
Well, but I mean, with the way that law enforcement is now, and obviously with phones and with the technology. I mean, even doing this stuff, running these lines, and even if they're on, pretend but pay-as-you-go phones or whatever, I mean, there's probably a higher chance of people that are doing that getting caught now.
Absolutely, yeah, very hard not to get caught. But what I would say is, you look at these people who've come in and they've it for hustle it if you will, if that's what you wanted to do, right? But I know a lot of these people, and one, a year ago they was all making like bundles and bundles and bundles of money. Now they're all pleading poverty because there's more and more of them coming over. So it's so saturated, they're not making no serious money.
Right.
It's so spread thin, it's spread bare. There's too many divisions of the pie. It's not worth going for. Like I said, get yourself an apprenticeship or something. Find yourself a business. Because listen, we're talking about transferable skills. Some of these kids that sell drugs or the kids around jail, you look at them in the jail, you think, cool, they're enterprising little lads. They're even in jail, they're making a few quid. Those skills are transferable. If you can do all that, in one of the hardest games in the world, a game where you get shot, stabbed, put in jail, if you can do all that, then you can do that in a legitimate world. Yeah. It's a transferable skill. If you're good at that, chances are you're good with people. People buy things off you because they like you. Right. They can buy off anyone. So if you've got that transferable skill set, you're a nice guy, a good networker, you can go put that into the legitimate world and you ain't got to worry about going to jail. Yeah. You ain't got to worry about not talking in your car, and you ain't got to worry about someone trying to rob you and kill you. Yeah. Or going to jail, any of it, right? So just don't do it. If it was hard then, it's 10 times, it's impossible now.
And if you was to look back on your life, Dan, from growing up, the violence, the kind of out of school, not getting your qualifications, and then going into crime, going to jail, educating yourself and coming out the other side, do you have any regrets?
Not many. No, I don't regret jail because...
it's made you who you are, right?
Yeah, look, I had no education growing up, and I no education growing up. So, like, when I went to jail, for whatever reason, I just fell into that, and it all worked out best because I'm a better dad with that education. I can better advise my children. I think in business I'm going to do much better than I ever did before because by educating myself, I've raised the glass ceiling. And I want to really reiterate this to any kids that might be watching this, right? If you're not academic, that's not a problem. My boy's not academic. He's doing, anyone in Southampton goes on and on about what they've seen on, he's 16 and he sparred 5 men in a row, 2 rounds each the other day. He went for all of them. He's not academic. So we said, look, son, and I like education, but I said, you can go back to academia whenever, right? Now might not be the time for it at your age, yeah? But you're only going to be young once. Your skill set is in boxing, so why don't you put everything into that? See how you get on for 3 years. And if you're not academic, then accept an academic. You don't have to go to college. You could, learn a trade. There's lots of things you can do. You might find you entrepreneurial, but you don't have, there's not a one size fits all. Right. And I think the trouble with the government, they've got these little cogs and they want you to fit into their machine, so they've got all their preset courses of where they want everything to go, and you might not fit into that system. And if you don't, that's fine. Find something that does suit you. I
think the way the government set up the education system is for the masses because and in a way, I think you kind of got to be grateful for it because if they did say to everybody at school, be anything you want. Yeah. You don't need to study. Absolutely. You could be an entrepreneur. Yeah. You could do all this stuff. Then obviously we'd have more competition. So it swings and roundabouts. But I always say to people, whenever I talk to people and they go, well, it's all right for you. You're an actor. It's all right for you. You've done this. You've done that. I've gone, but I've come from nothing.
You've grafted.
No one's come to me and gone,
you created them opportunities.
People make you laugh because people say stupid things like, oh, he made you or he's done you this or whatever.
Just jealous, innit?
But the thing is, nobody makes anybody. Yeah. Right? People open doors. People give people opportunities. But if you seize the opportunity, you still have to deliver. You still have to do the work. Nobody opens the door and says, I'll bring you in here. I'll do everything for you. You just sit there and I'll do everything for you. You have to do it yourself.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't understand how much work and how much grief and how much drama and how much, highs and lows and happiness and sadness people go through.
And you can have failures. No matter how many successes you got, there are all failures along the way.
Absolutely.
You might have 7 businesses, but you've lost 10 to get there. My mate Ray, who was on your podcast the other day, really good mate of mine, and I said I've come off the rails a little bit since being out of jail and got back on the rails. Right. I've had luckily having good people like Ray around me. He said, Dan, up, get off the drink and all that, and it doesn't suit you. But anyway, he said to me, and it fits in with that. He said success is all about opportunities, and opportunities to a certain degree down the luck. All you can do is be in the right place mentally, spiritually, and physically to receive them opportunities and make the most of them. if you're getting off your night and parties every day and you're not really with it, you're not going to be in the right place physically, mentally, spiritually to do anything with them opportunities. Right. You're probably not going to create the luck you need for them opportunities to come about. So if you've had loads of opportunities, you've obviously made sure that you've capitalised on. Yeah. You've obviously made sure that you was in the right place physically, mentally, spiritually to do something about it and to seize them, grasp them and make fruit out of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So well done.
Well, Dan, listen, thank you so much for coming on. It was amazing hearing your story, and what a life you've had. I mean, I'm excited to read the book. I'm excited to make the film. And I'm excited to come to one of your boxing shows as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Big guest of honour.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world, Dan.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Criminal Connection podcast. Danny Harkins, an exclusive Criminal Connection guest. What a story, what a life. And I cannot wait to read that book and get that movie made. Make sure you tune in next week. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you on the other side.